This Hangout is live. It says it's live, but last time we had some complications with that. So give me a sec. Make sure.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up on my phone.
Yeah, everybody pull up. Oh, yes. Okay. We're good. We are actually live. I think people can actually see us. Last time we went a half an hour without anyone realizing that. Yeah, it was bad. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Survivor Michigan Victors Valiant pre-finale podcast / post-merge podcast. Today we are here to talk with some special guest and moi about everything that's gone on basically since the last recap podcast we had. We have a couple episodes to talk about. We have some deep dives we can take into specific tribal councils, et cetera, et cetera. You guys, if you're here listening to this podcast, you know the deal. It's all right. So let's get into introducing some of the special guests here. Why don't we start with you, Paul?
Oh, hey, I'm Paul Drake. I am a Survivor Michigan superfan.
Hey, for real?
All you need.
If that's what your moniker is, I'm cool with that.
In fairness, I think when we met, I think you did dub me the #1 fan when we met.
Yes.
So,
I mean,
I'm hanging on to that. That's how I'm changing my introduction. I am the #1 fan of Survivor Michigan. So there.
Claim.
You guys
did
in person?
Yes. So I actually quick side note. Paul was a huge fan, tweeting about the show for a while. There's like a couple episodes out. We happened to both fly out to Arizona to go to this wrestling event. Yeah, we watch wrestling. Get off of our case. And he happened to, out of the thousands of people, see me. I was wearing a Michigan shirt.
It's true.
He found me. He's like, "Are you George?" I was like, "I am George." It's like Survivor Michigan, and my dad's right there. He's like, "You're a superstar, George! Oh my God, your fans coming up to you." I'm like, "I know, it's the paparazzi, whatever." So yeah, technically he is the #1 fan. Sorry, guys.
Thank you. All right, I'm good now.
I'm okay with that.
All right, next we have up is Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie. I don't know, I guess also a super fan. I've been a producer on Survivor Michigan for seasons 2 through 4 now. I'm running Survivor social media. And I'm also currently in Ireland and just got back from a club. So I'm here.
What is it, 3 a.m., 4 a.m.?
I am here to talk with all of you because George asked me last minute. And it's currently 3 a.m., but I'm here.
Hold on. All right. Time out. There was a fall through and someone that had to come on here. And, a couple hours ago, I was like, "Hey, Katie, you want to come on?" You're like, "I'm in Ireland. It'll be like 3 or 4 a.m. I'm like, "Oh, don't do that." And she's like, "Nah, it's fine. I'll be up. I'm going out." So you're trying to put the blame on me, but you want to be on this.
I'm not putting the on you at all. I'm just letting people know how dedicated I am.
Oh, I see. Okay. Gotcha. Very dedicated. All right. Last but not least, we have Joe.
Hello, I am Joe. I am originally from Philadelphia. I moved to Nashville a year and a half ago, and I'm also a Survivor Michigan super fan. I've tweeted maybe once or twice about it. So
yeah,
I guess
guilty.
I guess that caught George's attention. So here I am. I'm excited to talk about this insanely good season.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't not, bring some of the, most talkative people ever about the show in a good way. Like you guys, thank you so much for spreading our awareness just by tweeting a million different things. I am actively looking at the Survivor Michigan hashtag, and 90% of it is Paul and Joe. So I just want to put that out there.
It's fair.
Yeah, it's so great. Okay, well, now that we have the introductions out of the way, I have kind of some talking points we can do. We can go episode by episode kind of after the merge, kind of like we did with the pre-merge podcast. And then if we have time at the end, I actually have an Excel document that I put together that has all the information for all of the post-watch poll stuff. So you can actually see kind of like the ebbs and flows of who liked who thought was playing the best game, the downfall of Cooper from like number one seed. Everybody was like, "Our boy Cooper," to like, oh, Cooper. Oh, no. I love you, Cooper. I love you. But that was great to watch. Just everyone's like, well, I don't know about this Cooper anymore. Whatever. Anyways, let's start. Let's get into episode 8. It's the merge episode. It is I Don't Like Getting Lied To. Out the gate, we have a very long, dense episode. Just kind of to start with, this is the episode where, we just had the crazy double tribal council. Basically Neela is on top going into this merge. I think it's 6-4. Basically they kind of played that perfectly using both idols from Tarowski to maneuver their way through that. And now they're coming into this merge, and yet seemingly it doesn't look like they have the power. So kind of talk about that kind of stuff with Cooper, Akshay, all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they I don't know. I mean, they bring up wanting to. They're kind of looking ahead, and they're saying, let's get rid of. I think their plan was like, let's get rid of 1 Maison or 2, and then flip. Which, I mean, it's good that they were thinking ahead, but I feel like it was a little bit too soon to kind of talking about with the merge craziness, so many people. I thought it was a little bit too soon to bring that up. But I understand where they were coming from, with Fall and Tarowski, and Kara, and I guess Angela too, just kind of, they kind of had that 4 sort of unlock, and they knew that they were kind of on the bottom of that. So I understand them, thinking of options, but I feel like it was a little too soon to start bringing that up and letting people know.
Yeah, there's something really interesting that happens here where Cooper and Akshay are like, we'll flip 1 vote later, 2 votes later, and then Mitch and Leia have this conversation where Mitch is like, no, I'm going to tell them I'm flipping now, so they also have to flip now. And it's just this really like smart kind of like, no, we're going to kind of double back on them and get the 6-4. And it almost works. It's a really good plan, and it comes very close to actually working, and then super doesn't.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of plans throughout this episode, and they change kind of based on what happens in terms of Leia and Mitch's plan, and then the reverse plan after that. Really quick, what do you guys think about the actual merge itself when we get to that? Katie, did you hear about any of this? I know you're a friend of Leia and Cooper. Did Cooper tell you about the idol clue he found or anything like that?
No. So the funny thing was with being Leia's roommate during all of this, it was kind of an unspoken thing that I was more on Leia's side than Cooper during all of this. So Cooper wouldn't like come to me with anything that I heard about what Cooper was doing or what was happening with Cooper came from Leia. Or like if Leia and Cooper were talking strategy together, like in our apartment, that's what I would hear. I'm quickly like skimming through the episode on my computer right now to try and refresh my brain on what actually happened during it. Obviously, I know the merge happened.
Well, basically, we have
definitely everything that Joe, everything that you guys have been saying is. It was a crazy episode just because everyone's a little bit scrambling Mitch's plan about the whole flipping situation, because Mitch is slightly working with Saul and Tarowski at this point. At least that's what he thinks,
Right.
And it's starting that momentum of Maison kind of working with Neela, but under the radar, starting all of that for what comes in the future.
Right. The idea basically is, potentially going into this vote, especially even after Cooper and Akshay have said these things like, hey, we're going to flip, but it's going to be next week. Basically, Maison's going home. But Leia and Mitch, they have this plan to ensure that they keep all of the Maison 4 still there. So, kind of what was that plan about? And, why do you guys think, it either was a really good idea or wasn't a good idea?
I mean, I think it was a great idea to compel Cooper and Akshay to be like, no, you have to flip now. It's got to be right now. I think that was really good. I think the execution of it was actually really good, where Leia sends Mitch to go talk to Tarowski, and then Leia leaks it back to Cooper using like their kind of relationship nobody really knows about. It's so good. I was rewatching these episodes this week, and I was like, wow, this is really, really good. And then it just gets all Akshay'd up. There's really no other way to explain it. Like, I mean, and like all props to Tarowski for pulling just like a Hail Mary last ditch. Vote with me. I'll give you this idol that I Amazon primed. Like, just insane move. And it works. So like all credit to him, because it should not have worked. It should not have. But it worked, and it ended up being Akshay goes to rocks in this episode. I mean, that's insane.
Right.
Yeah, with that many people, I was like, there's no way someone will flip. Like, there's not, they're not going to risk it. And to see them go to rocks, watching it again, it was just like crazy. I was just, it's just a testament to how insanely good this has been so far. But yeah, I think it was definitely, Akshay and Cooper just should have waited. They should have just stuck with their, stuck with the plan, taken out a Maison, and then gone from there. But, definitely good on Mitch and Leia to kind of flip that around and get things back on their side.
Yeah, because it really seems like if the Alexes don't have this fake idol or this plan like that, like Leia and Mitch's plan is perfect, and it should have worked. Like you guys are saying, I was, just throughout the week, I'm watching all this footage, and I was like surprised. I was like, oh wow, Mitch came to the Alexes, but then I see like a confessional like that he sent in, and then also that we've had with him, and it was like pretty brilliant to do all these things of just like, hey Alexes, I'm coming to you with this information, but really it's like a triple cross only, or almost. So really, if you just take out the last 5 minutes before tribal, this is a win for them in their book. But what do you guys think about this? So I guess this is, again, something I've tried to do, and I don't know if it, I hope it came across all right, but CBS, obviously, they edit a certain way, all that. I didn't want to reveal this Amazon order until the next episode, because I didn't want it to be, this kind of just was like a curveball at the end. I kind of wanted to be like, wait, what? What is this? Did it work for you guys? Do you think that like it still made sense? And would you have even done what Akshay did? That's what I really want to know.
I definitely liked it. It was a good twist to throw in there with that happening right at the end. I don't think I would have taken the deal though. Like, what was the point? I don't know. Yeah, I don't think Akshay was thinking, thought about it enough to, and I guess it was probably right before tribal, so he was just kind of like, whoa, taken aback by, there's an idol, and wait, I can have it after this next vote. Like, I don't know if he overthought, if he underthought, but I think if I was in his shoes, I would have not have done that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew everything. Like, as I'm watching this season, I kind of know what's going to happen in each episode just based on what I remember hearing during the semester. But I had no idea all the detail and all the other strategizing that all the other players went into it. Like, this whole plan that Tarowski had, telling Akshay right before tribal about his idol. Looking on it now, if I were in Akshay's position, Tarowski didn't show him the idol. He didn't show him a clue or anything. I would be suspicious if I were Akshay.
He did show the idol, but not the clue. That is the important part, because he only talked about a clue, and he also didn't show the paper, which Cooper asked for the next episode.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So Cooper pointed out a lot of things to Akshay afterwards. Was like, did he show this? Did he point out this? And it's like all these things that like Akshay probably should have considered in the first place. And then again, like, Akshay had admitted that there were a lot of other things going on in his head at the time. Like, that's the other thing, that like, this is college Survivor, so there's a lot of other things going on in everyone's life while this whole thing is going on, which can affect the game like dramatically, whether they like it or not. But yeah, I don't know. I would have been much more suspicious if it was like a last minute ditch effort that like Tarowski had done if I were in Akshay's position.
The
Yeah,
other
I think-
thing. Oh, sorry. No, you can go.
No, I was just gonna say one of the really underrated things, especially about Alex Tarowski's game, is his ability to just kind of sit in these confessionals and just like suss out what's going on, just kind of
Yeah.
like verbal talk it out to the camera. There's the great one in the pre-merge where he's like, "Well, I can either like be the villain and go nasty, and no wait, that's all I have to do." And then like there's another great one in this episode where the one with the thunderclap, that really
Oh
loud
my
thunder, where
God.
he's sitting there talking and he's like, no, Cooper and Akshay have flipped. Like, and he like reasons out that Cooper and Akshay have flipped, which is what compels him to do this crazy thing with Akshay in the last place. And it's such a great reflection on him that like if he sits down and if he thinks about it enough and if he just talks his way into it, like he really has excellent reads on what's going on in the game almost throughout the entire time.
Rats get whacked, man. Rats get whacked.
Exactly. I'm
That
Tony
thunder-
Soprano.
That thunderclap was like I almost didn't include that because it kind of felt out of place. But I'm like, how do you not like? I
Yeah.
remember that was such a like cool moment in that like so that a lot of these confessionals are in my old room in my old house. So you kind of see like all of my laundry or whatever in the background. Sorry guys, I have my shoes and stuff. My dad always comments on that. It's just like put your stuff away. I'm like it's my room. But we're in there and it was like thunderstorming out really heavily and it like shook my frame of my like my window even, and it was like brutal. So I that just felt right, especially with the tension and stuff. Last thing I wanted to talk about besides we'll get to Kara specifically drawing the rock, but the thing is Akshay is not only doing this move for the idol, he's also doing it against Cooper. The person he's flipping on specifically, I think, is what's almost the most interesting. Like maybe if it was like, oh, let's, I'll give you this idol if you vote for Mitch, that might be an easy thing for him. But if it's for Cooper, I thought that was like really interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I just even standing there, I was just like, oh wow, I can't believe he would do that against Cooper.
I actually thought that was a great decision because it shows like a complete trust in his read, like his read that Cooper had flipped, like he really trusts that enough to vote for him, and the idea that like of those Maison 4, like instead of voting for one of them, to vote for Cooper and dare any one of those 4 people to flip on Cooper, which is also insane that those 4 go to rocks for Cooper. Like not just Akshay going to rocks for Alex Tarowski. It's crazy that all 4 of them go to rocks for Cooper, who they've been working with for like half an episode now, and who like in the post swap, Cooper just like did all these shenanigans and deceived them all to get Cam out. That episode 8, that final 10 episode is just bonkers from almost everybody's perspective. Like how they all decide to do that, it's crazy.
So something that actually didn't get shown. So we've had 2 deliberations now throughout this season where there was actually a lot of that footage, but it was kind of all talking in the same direction, so I didn't think it was really needed to be included. But there was a few bit of like occasionally Liz was like, I don't know if we should do this like out loud, or Brittany would be like, I don't know. But then they all come around to the fact for 2 reasons I really thought was, one, they have no other option. If Cooper ends up going, they're screwed now. They have nobody to work with. And I think the other thing was Leia has immunity, so she doesn't care. Like it has to be, it's got to be a unanimous decision, and Leia's not going to do that. Like she's safe. She doesn't care. She's not sending like Cooper home. So I think those were 2 big things for sure. That gets talked about a lot. Like I see online of just like, I can't believe they would not even flip. But I think there were like defining factors of why. So yeah. So yeah, the merge episode, obviously crazy. I think definitely you got to give Mitch and Leia props, like you guys said, up until the last 5 minutes, which really was kind of out of their control. So yeah, that was a really fun episode, even just to edit and look back on. All right. So next episode 9, Predictably Unpredictable. This is kind of in like a new arc of the season now where we have this new group of Maison plus Cooper, and they're kind of the dominant alliance now. And going forward, we see a couple of the other side being picked off, but really the important part of this kind of arc is why these people are getting picked off and the relationships that happen during this. So let's talk about this first part. First is just Cooper and Akshay argument. I love this freaking argument so much. Oh my god. So good. Nothing?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
you guys don't like it?
I'm
Yeah.
super excited about it. Oh my god.
I'm excited about it, you guys. I mean, I thought it was
We
good.
can all agree. It
Yeah.
was great.
Okay, all right, that's
Yeah,
it. I guess.
just like Cooper just looks like he's just gonna like throttle him at several
Yeah.
points during this conversation. He's just like, did he show you the idol? Well, yeah. Did he show you the clue? And there's one point where he turns and looks at the camera, like The Office. Like he just turns and looks at the camera like, what? Like, I can't believe this really just
man.
happened. It's so brilliant and so funny, especially from somebody like Cooper, who, especially in the pre-merge, has been like adorable. Like he's just been like the adorable, like baby face, whatever, you know. And then like all of a sudden, I'm like, he's gonna hit him. Like he's that angry.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I think that's a really good moment where you get to see just how invested Cooper is
Yeah.
in the game, because like you said, like before then he's just seen as like, oh, he's an innocent little boy. I mean, obviously you see he's playing pretty hard. He's put himself in the center of his tribe at the beginning. He's in a very good position, but now he's like kind of scrambling, and you see just how hard and just how invested he is in playing this game. And yeah, especially when he's talking with Akshay about the ridiculous decision. Like you said, it looks like he's about to hit the kid. It's ridiculous.
I think so. I don't know. Oh, this wasn't it, but I think it was either my co-producer Claire, or it was like, you know, my stepmom or a dad or someone, but they were filming that part while I was filming something else, and they came over to me afterwards. They're like, yo, like that almost got like real.
Wow.
I never thought Cooper would, none of these guys would ever do something stupid, but they were just like, man, he's pissed. Like he's really, really mad. I love that moment. And I love Akshay's realization too. Just like, oh, I guess he didn't really show that. Oh, man.
When Cooper asked too, like, well, did he give it to you? And
Right.
Right, he's like, no.
no.
Okay,
We even see later he never gives it.
That's one thing that kind of bothered me about the following. Like Tarowski confronts Akshay, and he's like, you didn't go to Rocks for me. You only went to Rocks because you wanted the idol. I'm just kind of like, what else would he do that for? Like, you promised him the idol. Like, why wouldn't he do that? I'm sorry, Tarowski. Like, you're trying to make him feel guilt, but if I'm in Akshay's position, like, I'm going to be like, why wouldn't I do that?
Totally.
Like,
that was mob boss Tarowski speaking. We just like,
right.
you come to me, you know, just like, it was so, oh man, I love that. So I think a big part of, you know, going forward here, this episode especially, and we'll get to Lizenthal. We will get to Lizenthal.
Good.
Yeah. But this is kind of like, I think, you know, two big things, or really three big things are happening here. One, we have kind of the rise of Liz's game, because up until this point, she's really been at the bottom of her alliance, and now she kind of has some power here after, you know, everything that's gone on. And so now we, you know, are seeing her be the social player. We have Brittany discovering and being super perceptive about basically Liz and everything that she's doing. And then also the separation of the Alex's game. Because I think a big reason why that, you know, Tarowski didn't give up that, you know, fake idol to Akshay is that he wanted to use it as a scare tactic. He basically says this week, he's just like, I'm not going to talk to like anybody. Like, I'm going to, you know, scare the hell out of everybody and make sure that they think either this is real or I'm going to do something crazy or whatever. Whereas Thal, on the other hand, is doing the opposite. He's being a small threat. He's playing more of a social game. Hey, use me in that. And so I think that's really interesting. So let's start, I guess, first with the rise of kind of Liz's game here and what she's doing.
Wants to go.
Yep. No, I think this is a great episode for Liz. I think this is a great episode for Liz and Thal separately. I mean, also together, which we'll get to. But this is a great episode for both of them, where they both suddenly become these like these are going to be major players in the post merge, where neither of them had really had like. This is the episode, if I'm not mistaken, where Alex Thal comes down the slide.
Oh
which
yeah,
is like that's big moment where
it's
like,
a huge moment.
We've had lots of great Alex moments, which I've been very, very clear on my love of those. But this is the first Alex Thal moment where I'm like, Alex Thal comes down the slide, tell me everything about what's going on here.
It's a thumbnail moment.
Can I quick ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Was Tarowski filming that?
That was me. I filmed that.
Who was filming that? Okay.
So I actually, this was in like kind of. So my backyard, right next to my backyard, is like this church's playground. It's like a really nice like playground, like wood chips, everything, but the whole deal. And when I was gonna film with Thal, he had a meeting with Cooper right after, and they were gonna do that at my house. So I'm like, hey, why don't we just like film outside really quick? And he's like, oh, why don't we go over there? Like, let's go over here. And he sees the slide, and it's just a match made in heaven. Like, he's just like, oh, I'm going to go down the slide, and I'm going to be like, Tribal Council was so bad. Oh, my God. Like, I was like, okay. And we did it like I'm serious, 2 or 3 times he had to go down that slide before he got the right shot. Like, he went down, he did it, and he's like, no, this isn't right. He went back up, he did it again, and then he goes into, like, an hour-long ramble afterwards. That was me. Everyone was like, was that Tarowski? I was like, I don't think they would be caught dead out in public at a slide recording each other. That would be too much. I think.
I don't know. I feel like they would. Like, that wouldn't surprise me.
They did kayak. Yeah, that's true. All right. Fair point. Oh man. So yeah, you're right though. Like we as separate players and then later as players together, Thal and Liz are definitely building their resumes and their games in different ways now. Do you think this is the right move by Tarowski now to do the opposite of what Thal's doing? You have Mitch, Leia, Brittany, Cooper, Liz in power. Do you think the best thing to do is to now forge these new relationships with these people? Or do you think, hey, I know I'm a big threat. I'm just going to like continue to be that big threat?
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting because like when you think about it, obviously if you're playing it, like you decide whichever way you go, but it can backfire either way. So I think Tarowski, part of it, he just got lucky with the way that he decided to play it. And I think, and I guess I don't completely know if he 100% knew the way Thal was going to continue playing his game, but I think the fact that Thal was playing in such a different way compared to his game helped to kind of offset, and like them playing off of each other, even though people knew they were working together, them sort of separating their games at this point helped them out a little bit.
Yeah. I agree with that for sure. I mean, we see that, obviously we'll get to it. They make it to the final 5. So I think it was the perfect decision for Tarowski to do that and to kind of just let Thal, work his way in with the group and build relationships, and he can kind of, be this big threat, but also kind of just be off to the side, as we see as the episodes go on, where he's out there by himself, asking people to come talk to him. But no, I kind of like that their games kind of flip-flop a little bit as we get to the merge. I feel like Tarowski definitely sort of led the charge with that pair in the beginning, and it's kind of nice seeing Thal kind of step out and do his own thing in the merge. So I think it works for their dynamic for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And Thal was very social. He went to a bar and he met a specific Liz Ladwig. How do we feel about this chance fate encounter?
It was definitely chance, that's for sure.
It's the romance of the century. And there's just no 2 ways about it. We had Rob and Amber in the pre-merge, which rest in peace. And then it was like, what's gonna be like? This season has everything, but what it's really missing is one more big romantic story arc. And then I was schooled on Twitter. It was not at Skeeps or Rick's. It was much higher class than that. It was at MASH. So that was my bad.
Yeah.
It was a much higher quality of meetup going on here. But no, I mean, even like in a non-joking way, like the moment you see those two, and every time they're on screen together, like they pop. Like
it's chemistry.
Honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
And I think it helps. Honestly, they are two of the most likable people. Just naturally, like they're the two most like smiley, like charismatic people. When you see them on screen, when they're talking to other people, you can see they're all just having a good time when they're talking. Even if they're talking about serious strategy, it's like there's giggling involved, and it's so seeing the two of them together, it makes sense, and it's interesting that sort of sparks in this episode.
It's like the two perfect people to meet each other at the bar, really. And Thal does talk about this later, of just like it feels so genuine to him. Like every episode, Liz and Thal separately in their own confessionals are saying, like, this is just like a genuine friendship right now. Like we talk about whatever we want. Like when we're talking with other people, and you can see this when they have phone calls or meetups, like there's like maybe a more serious tone to other people. With them, they're spinning in their chairs. They're like, doing, you know what I mean? Like they're just like, yeah, it's just genuinely they were having a good time together, which is great because also we have a Romeo and Juliet moment, which we'll get to later.
Oh, man.
Last thing in this episode I really want to talk about is Brittany. One of my favorite moments ever is her and her whiteboard.
Yes.
Can I just God bless Brittany, because she literally calls everyone out. Like she calls it, and this entire time she is calling every little thing. She's like, I know this is happening, but nobody wants to do anything about it. So like, I'll just go along with it. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so empathetic for her frustration, because it's like in those moments you want to do stuff, but she just doesn't have the numbers, so she just has to go along with what's going to keep her in the game at the point. So yeah, it's frustrating to watch, but I'm so proud of her.
That I almost put as a subtitle for her name instead of like her major. I almost put just frustrated, because she uses that line.
Yes.
She uses that line all the time. She's just like, I'm just so frustrated. Like she just constantly like, she knows the position she's in. And I think, she has the great perception of the game, but doesn't want to do anything with it necessarily because it's not in her best interest. And that I can totally see why that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, her perception throughout the whole game has been really great. And yeah, I mean, I was even watching a couple early episodes, and that's just her theme almost throughout most of the game, is just like, she knows who the big player is, she knows who the threats are, but she just doesn't have the pull to get enough people together to make the move. And you're rooting for that. You're like, oh, maybe this will be the episode where Brittany, gets the army together and takes out, who she wants. And it just really hasn't happened yet up to this point. But yeah, I love the whiteboard. I love the, Liz being the sun. And it was just perfect. It was like, that was, I love that. I love that.
Good. I'm glad.
Love Brittany.
This is the same episode we get Brittany being frustrated and Mitch using the word baffling over and over again. It is so, for days after that episode aired, I'm the only person in my friend group around here that watches this show, but I just walk around and just go, baffling. Just like as Midwestern as possible. Just
oh my God.
Baffling.
It's
so good.
Just like kind of like off topic, but can you is Mitch's accent so apparent to both of you guys?
Oh man. And like, I'm a Midwesterner. Yeah.
He's managing everything.
Okay.
Managing the girls.
Even me.
I think it's hilarious because I know him. I've met him in person. We're good friends, and I've never noticed it until watching this show and seeing his confessionals. And I'm just like, did you mean to pronounce those vowels like that?
Yeah, I've seen hundreds of hours of footage of this guy. I know his accent pretty well. Like, yeah, it's very, and I love it. It's so good. Even the Keep Your Torch Lit podcast.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
they rip into it all the time. Like it's so funny. Oh
Well,
my
what's
god.
funny is
oh my
all
God.
3 of them on the podcast, they're all from the Midwest.
Yeah.
All from similar like Michigan/Chicago areas. Like, I don't know. And they're all just like, oh, it's so Midwestern. I'm like, you guys are Midwestern. Like, what are you talking about? But it is like it's just, I don't know. I think it's just like a Mitch accent at this point.
It's so
Yeah.
good because like I'm a
Yeah.
Michigander too, and so like everywhere I go that's not here, it's like, oh my gosh, your accent, and I'm like, no.
Look at this guy.
Yeah,
You met
exactly. There's an episode later where he uses the word debacle, and it's like I want it as my ringtone. It's so good. It's perfect.
Oh my god. All right.
No.
Well, the
We
end
love
of this.
Mitch. We love
this
Mitch.
oh, totally. The end of this
man.
episode. Angela is the one who goes out. It really seemed like we might see her move on after her connection with Liz,
Mhm.
but we later find out in the next episode, which we'll get to, that basically Liz wants to be a team player and she doesn't want to come off as someone who's using her best players on her side to move her own game forward.
I think
All right.
Angela was good. I think like it's hard to like this particular season has just moved 100 miles an hour, and you get to a final 8 here where every single person in this final 8 is gaming hard and playing hard, and so like in a regular context, like Angela would have been good. Like we'd be talking about her like, oh, she made some good moves, she was in the right position, she played a good social game, but this season has just been so like everybody is playing like expert strategy, 4D chess or whatever, like, and she just got swept under the rug, so shout out to Angela. I like Angela.
Aw.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yes,
Angela.
we need more Angela love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anders actually put this in a really good light, and he kind of identified her as one of these like satellite players. And I would almost go as far to say like she's not a satellite player to like a planet. These are to like their own like stars. Like we said, Liz is a sun. Like these players are really, really gunning for it. And just like there are some people who are kind of just lost in the shuffle like that. I totally agree though. Like when I was hosting this and watching this live, I was just like, and just playing a great game. It's just like so many other people are doing things, and she's just not a part of it. So yeah, I totally agree. Like Angela in any other light, I would have loved to see her play a game with like maybe more players around her speed at least, because that would have been really fun. But yeah, I loved having Angela on the show.
Yeah.
All right.
She did well too, just recovering from the first couple votes. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
to make it this far after that, that's kudos to her for sure.
Honestly.
All right. Next up, we got episode 10. Your pride was momentary. I absolutely love this episode title. Mitch is so great with these. Like and the full thing is your pride was momentary. Your fall was permanent or something like that. What is that the line?
Yes.
Like
Just so
Did he like get that from somewhere?
probably
How
some
long did it
Shakespearean. Yeah, it was just it was great. And I remember like, because I wasn't the one there at the like voting confessional, I'm standing there in front of the people, whereas like my co-producer is recording these things. And when I finally went back and watched this voting confessional, I'm like, oh my god, here's the episode title. Here it is. Oh, Mitch just handed me it on a silver platter. There were so many moments like that. I almost did Tony effing Soprano as one of the things, but it was kind of swears and whatever.
Honestly, there's a lot of good moments. There's a lot of good quotes you could be using. A lot of these players, they give you good moments. George, I don't know how you
it's tough. And one of the biggest things I wanted to do, and I did it with thumbnails as well, as like episode titles, thumbnails. I want to make sure everybody gets like at least tries to get in there with an episode title or something like that. Like if you really look back, like I make sure that I think only like a couple people have gotten like double episode titles. Like I think Leia, Brittany, Trowski have gotten like 2 or something like that. I've tried to do as many as I can, just because so many people give me great content. I just want to be able to use it all. So this episode we start off with we talked about this before. The Alexes and Akshay are walking, and Cooper, and then Tracy kind of goes into Akshay. You're totally right. That's so funny. It's just like, well, what do you want him to do? He wants idol. Give him the dang idol. But yeah, again, like, this fake idol and him not giving that idol away is kind of what is carrying Tarasky for the most part through these couple of episodes, because there's that fear. Brittany, every single episode is like, no, let's vote him out. It's fair.
She's right.
Brittany knows what's up.
She knows. But the other thing is, and we get to more of this episode, is Liz's relationship with Thal and Cooper's relationship with Thal is kind of making this other side of things where they know they're big threats, kind of around this time, and they kind of want shields. So you don't really get much of this from Cooper, but he does kind of talk about this behind the scenes. I didn't put it in, that both Thal and Tarasky are big targets. And, if push comes to shove, when it finally gets down to just them, maybe they can flip over to the other side. Liz actually does that. Cooper tries to, and, we know how that goes. But let's get to the idol hunt. Liz finds the idol. She actually left a class for it. I think she went back to the class so she was at the class, got the text message, ran away, got it, came back, which is hilarious.
This was the idol. This was the clue that you had posted in the library, correct?
Yes. I wanted to do a visual clue as opposed to, because we didn't really have that before. I wanted to do like a visual clue, and I'm like, how am I gonna, we already had, Cooper is bad at finding idols, and so he never found that idol. We hit, I could, this nice recurring thread of just Cooper getting the clues but not being able to find it. And so he couldn't find it, and we're like, well, he's the only one with this clue, and we're not giving out clues to this idol anymore. So why don't we drop one for everybody, and whoever really wants it can come get this. We did, I dropped this clue in the middle of like prime time. People have classes, so even if you have a class like Liz, if you leave that class and get there, like, you can get an idol.
And if you guys listen to the most recent Keep Your Torch Lit podcast, Leia admits she was sitting there the entire time. She was sitting there across from when you posted it, and there were other things on her mind also affecting the game that she was focusing on. Didn't notice anyone run past the clue or see anything. Honestly, though, like, even if she had noticed, like, behind everyone else who had run past her, she would have probably found the idol before Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
But
she's already found one at that point.
Yeah. Cooper just, bad luck. And, he even freaking looks at a tree that says, like, fountain. That I still can't get over. I didn't do that. That wasn't me. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, just bad luck for Cooper, really.
Poor guy.
But Liz does find this idol, and she basically immediately tells Mitch. Do you guys think this is the correct move? At least from her perspective, from what she knows in her relationship with Mitch.
I think it was fine to tell Mitch. I mean, they were close at that point, and it's always, you can use it as a way to build trust. So if it's like, Mitch, hey, let me share this with you, and see what we can do with it, moving forward. So I think it was fine for Liz to do that.
And surprisingly, Mitch doesn't tell Leia at this point.
Right.
He kind of keeps that information. And I think that's kind of a testament to like what Mitch is doing at this point. And what he's really been doing is he is in specific situations, whether it's on top or bottom, and he gets a lot of information. And depending on how he uses it, it's pretty important. The next episode, he doesn't use a certain information, and it gets him kind of screwed a little bit. But at this time, do you think Mitch should have told Leia, or do you think he should have kept it like he did?
That's so tough.
Yeah.
I'm always a big believer of, if you find a post-merge idol, keep it to yourself. Like, the pre-merge idol is good for alliance building, and the post-merge idol, keep it in your sock or whatever. But I mean, it works out at this point for the Liz and Mitch thing. Should Mitch tell Leia? Well, if Mitch tells Leia, then does Leia tell Cooper? Then who does Cooper tell? And that, so I think it's good for Liz that Mitch didn't say anything. Is it good for Mitch? I don't know. I think this is about the turning point where Mitch really starts like feeling himself and really starts like kind of going full big boss beast mode and really like really starting to think like, I don't know whether it's here or later where he starts to talk about like himself, like I'm going to win this game. Nobody knows this yet, but I'm going to win this game. And so I think that plays a lot into it too, of like, I'm just going to keep this to myself. I don't have to tell Leia. So
it's also important to note that I think maybe another reason why he doesn't do this, like you're saying, does she tell Cooper, is, people are starting to find out that Cooper and Leia do know each other because of this post, which it was kind of a big deal, but not in the way that you would normally think. Kind of like with the Alexes, like, at this point, people find out that Cooper and Leia know each other a little bit, and Leia even admits to Mitch, and he's just like a disappointed father. He's like, yeah, so great. So he finds out about this, but out of like kind of convenience, almost, like, it's not, you don't want to be making a big deal about it from their perspective. Like, why would Mitch find out this information about Leia and Cooper and then turn on them? Like, Leia's his number one ally. Cooper just joined their side. Like, yeah, he should be a little bit worried about it, which he rightfully, was, and that's why he talked to Leia. But, just like the rest of them, it's important in the back of their mind, especially Liz. But at this time, they're both on their side, so they kind of have to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's definitely good information to know moving forward. If they all would have gotten closer to the end, it's like, okay, we know now that there's a stronger bond between Leia and Cooper that we didn't know before. So yeah, I think it was right to not react to it too strongly. But yeah, like you said, they now have it in the back of their mind that, okay, like maybe two people who we didn't think might, link up later on as we get closer to the end, they have that bond now, so that, I'm sure they're glad now that it's apparent, because they wouldn't have known otherwise.
Right.
Yeah, and I think especially for Mitch, I mean, there wasn't, obviously it's a big deal for him in terms of his and Leia's relationship, just because Cooper is really the only one who knows that how close he and Leia are. And I think that was the biggest reveal for him, was like, he kind of had a suspicion about Leia and Cooper being close, but that was the biggest deal to him, was the fact that Cooper was the one who knew about his and Leia's relationship. In terms of Liz, it's definitely a bigger deal for her knowing that Cooper and Leia are as close as they are, because with Cooper being added into the Maison alliance, that just adds another person who, if Leia and Brittany want to go against her, that's another vote against her, where she only feels like she has Mitch. And then, at this point, she doesn't know Leia and Mitch are talking at all. So it's definitely more serious from Liz's perspective, whereas Mitch definitely feels a little more comfortable, because Leia does admit to Mitch that she, even though Cooper and her have been close since the beginning, like, Mitch is still her number one. So Mitch is still sitting pretty, but Liz is a little worried after that information, for sure.
Right. Exactly. Last thing for this episode, we got to give him more into our boy Akshay. He goes out this week. He's actually in pretty good spirits with most people this episode. Like, after everything that happened last week, where he was kind of like down because of, it's like kind of a freshman, kind of situation. There were some personal issues going on. He kind of made a connection with everyone because of that. And yet it still seemed like, at the end of the day, Liz, Cooper, they wanted to keep the Alexes around as shields. And sadly, Akshay was on, the end of the stick here. Would you guys have taken out these maybe, smaller threats, still big threats in their own right, to keep the Alexes if you were, Liz and Cooper? Or would you have taken, them out? Do you think they should have taken Akshay out like they did?
I mean, if there's a big threat in the game, I don't know why you wouldn't try. I mean, from Liz's perspective, they're allies. They're potential allies for her at this point. So it makes sense she wouldn't gun for them. But, like, everyone else. And I guess they are trying to gun for them, but it's just not working out, or they're chickening out. I don't know. I would gun for the bigger threat at this point rather than Akshay, personally.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think they should have tried to split them up.
Yeah,
It's just-
it's baffling. Like, I mean, you have these two big players, strong players. You know, Cooper knows they're against him. Even somebody like Mitch at this point has to pretty much know that these guys aren't taking Mitch to the final three. You know, even how much longer do they even want to continue to roll with him? So to take Akshay out at this point it's really just, it's so questionable. Like, you could say like, they did the Angela thing and they wanted to prevent against idols or whatever, but at some point, like, you gotta pull the trigger. It's not like, I mean, it's not like Akshay is like super tight with the Alexes anyway. So if you want to try and orchestrate some kind of funny vote split or make something happen, like,
Yeah, Akshay
you can
even
do
votes
that
for
at this point.
Tarowski. Yeah,
Exactly. It's not good. And I think this is when the door starts to get opened. And like, obviously, you know, finale night tomorrow, if one of the two Alexes crosses the finish line and actually like wins, this is the moment that everybody else in the game can look back at and go, oh, this was our chance. This was the moment one of us could have won the game instead of these two.
it kind of makes sense from like maybe the perspective of, okay, we don't want to take out Thal because a lot of them do have a relationship with him for the most part. You know, Mitch has a relationship. Cooper is still keeping up a relationship. Even beforehand, tells him about what's going on. You know, in that car meeting, says, you know, hey, you know, they're keeping up a relationship even though they're on another side. But with Tarowski, you know, most people, especially Brittany, know that he doesn't have this idol. Like, they basically know it's fake for the most part. He's even admitted to like Liz, it's fake. But yeah, it just seems like at the end of the day, you know, using shields is what some of them wanted to do. And in the end, you know, Liz kind of pushes that a little bit. And that's why next episode we kind of see she is then kind of seen as this big target and this big threat. And exactly. All right. These next two episodes they were really hard for me to edit, is what I'll say. From a perspective of, you know, just an editor. This first one, completely freaking my freak. Thank you, Brittany. This is exactly how I felt.
So good.
So amazing. This first episode here has a lot of strategy, a lot of different dimensions, and it all comes back to just secret relationships. The next episode comes down to just emotions, and that was hard for me to edit just because I can't watch Liz cry, okay?
Oh my God.
That's all I'll say. It's tough. So let's start with this first episode, though. Completely freaking my freak. We start off with the Alex's fake fight.
Yes.
Yep. Thal voted for Tarowski. Thal voted for Tarowski. If anything goes wrong in that situation and whatever the read happened, and Tarowski goes home after that, like, oh my God. But yeah, Thal votes for Tarowski. They have this fake fight. Do you guys think it was super believable what they were doing that much? Do you think it was, you know, they should have done that? What do you guys kind of feel about that?
I mean, at one point they start to laugh.
Yeah.
Like, during the fake fight. Like, it's not like,
it's not the most believable.
It didn't work. I'm sorry, they weren't that far away.
Yeah.
Like they didn't separate themselves enough. Obviously, you're filming them, so obviously everyone else is going to be looking over there, like, what's going on over there. It wasn't a well thought out, well planned thing. But
I definitely think that most people were like, all right, they probably still have some connection. I do think they still think that connection isn't as strong maybe as it used to be. But yeah, when you have some giggles going on, like, come on guys, like, you know. but it did definitely, I think, you know, at least help their case a little bit in terms of Liz coming over to their side, because it wasn't like she never thought that she was the third wheel there, I don't think. Unless, you know, that's, you know, out of the blue. I personally think that Liz probably did think that, you know, Thal would be at least, you know, more receptive to working with her over Tarowski, maybe because of whatever's happened in the past. Oh, he's voted for him, whatever. But yeah, this fake fight, I loved it because this is when my stepmom and my dad were there, and my stepmom was filming this. And before we went to go do touchy subjects, we're out like walking there, and she was the one who filmed the fake fight. And I didn't know. I thought they were actually mad or something because I was like off doing something else. I didn't know. And so she comes over to me. She's just like, "Oh my God, you're never gonna believe this." And I was just like, "Oh, I think I'll believe it." Like, I think, a lot of the times I actually lived very close to the Alex's house. So I would do a lot of their confessionals after some tribals, just like at their house or something like that. They'd be like, "Hey, can just you record me? I'm like talking on the phone with this person, and me and Trask are both talking." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll record that really quick." And every time I would, come over there, whenever I did, it was always just like so jovial and like, "How are we still here? These fools." So I knew when this fake fight happened, I was like, "Oh, it seems kind of weird." But then my stepmom comes up and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, duh." Like, they make like pies together and go at it. Like, of course.
How much fun was it spending time with the Alexes? Because from like a viewer perspective, it looks like the most fun ever.
This like final, like you were saying, like final 8, final 9, final 10, like unreal fun just being around them. Like all of them. They were so much fun. Brittany is always flying off the wall. She's just like, "I have to restart like this confessional. Like, I don't know. There's so much like, it was so fun with that." Mitch is, especially with like the text early on in the game, he calls me like 11 o'clock at night and like all that, and he's always super passionate about the game. Leia, she doesn't do confessionals with me most of the time. She did it with my co-producer Claire. But she is like I'm thinking of Tarasky as a mob boss. Leia is a mob boss. She is down and dirty. In post-tribal, she was always the one I looked to because she was always either like really happy or really just like that. So she was fun. She was great. All that stuff. Liz is a mom to everybody. She's bringing blankets, all this, yada yada yada. Like, you have all these, Akshay is just like doing quips and one-liners at tribal council. Like, everyone brought something. And the Alexes, in their own right, just because they were a pair, just because I knew the secret that nobody else knew, it was hilarious. It would be, 1 in the morning, and I'd get a video of them in the freaking hospital, and they're talking strategy while, Tresky has, like, a kidney stone. Or I came over, was it this episode or no, it was after next episode. I came over there. I'm the one filming where they fall onto the ground after they get home, and Doll's like, "Give me a kiss," and I'm just like, "What is happening here?" Like, it was surreal to see these lumbering oafs just be absolute idiots towards each other, and it was great. But everyone gave these great moments just because they knew each other. They obviously wanted to make a show of it and do all that, so that was great too. But everyone gave that kind of stuff, so that was really fun.
I mean, this is a brilliant cast. We've talked about that. We haven't talked about that yet tonight, but like that's been like one of the big talking points on Twitter is like this cast, top to bottom, is so good. I mean, even when you look at the pre-merge, you look at like even like Sarah and Jonathan, like how great are they? And obviously we lose Matthew and Cam in the pre-merge, which is just so tragic. Like there's like 2/3 of this cast I would watch play again easily. I mean, and maybe plus. It's so good, and it's a testament to we get to this final 7. Everybody at this final 7 could win.
I've seen that is one of the most comments I've seen. And it's not because I'm doing any stupid editing tricks. Like, I also genuinely believe that in person. So I appreciate that, like, these guys all came to play hard, and somehow all of them are the ones at the end.
Yeah, it makes it really fun and also interesting to watch, because usually most seasons you have, a handful of favorites or maybe only 1 or 2 favorites. So you kind of almost root against people because you're just not rooting for them. But with this cast, it's like, I don't, watching tribals, it's like I have internal struggles because I'm like, well, that would be cool to happen, but then you lose this person who I'm rooting for. But then if this side wins over the vote, you lose this person who I'm voting for. So I feel like it just adds a different element to it when you have such strong players and then you're actually rooting for, like Paul said, like 2/3 of the cast. I mean, there's maybe 1 or 2 seasons across all versions that I've ever had close to double digits going into the first couple episodes of people that I was rooting for. I'm like, this is wild. It's wild. But
they are my children, and I appreciate that, because like that is like a proud dad moment where I'm just like, oh, they're superstars. I'm so happy for them. That's
and
awesome.
I will say, just, like, I saw this happen all from Leia's perspective the first time around. So I'm thinking, like, going into the actually watching the season as you've edited it, George, I'm thinking like, oh, I just like Leia is far superior to everyone all did. But I'm watching it and I'm like, oh no, wait, like all of these people, like I can see why people would like this person. I can see, I mean, I find myself rooting for other people. Sorry, Leia. But it's a testament to you, George, for your editing, but also like all of these players, because of how hard they've played and how dedicated they are to the game. It is truly amazing, especially for a first season for our campus.
Yeah,
like that
absolutely.
That is crazy.
I'm really glad too, because I sadly only have this one mark on the show, and like, I leave and there's a new host, there's like new editors, like all this stuff. But I'm glad that I could at least leave this kind of a mark here. And really, it's not even my mark. It's a lot of their mark. Like, these guys are the ones being talked about. Like, screw me. Like, who cares about George? Like, I even care more about these people than, like, I'm looking at my show that I'm editing, and I'm just like, oh, I love these people. Oh, the editor doesn't matter. These people are just so great. They're just so much fun. So thank you. I appreciate that. Like,
You're so humble.
Yeah, I'm saying that I love them so much that I had the easiest job in the world. I really did. I just got to have fun and mess around, basically.
And can I just quickly say off of that, because it was only you and Claire producing, like now we have loads of people involved with all of the contestants. Like at this point, we have almost one contestant assigned to one producer. In charge of like producer.
That's awesome.
Like we have that many producers on right now, but you were so dedicated and so committed to the players, which I think really helped. I mean, you guys, you had serious relationships with like all the people on the. I remember Leia telling me like, "Oh yeah, I just need to talk to George or something," and I'm like, "Are you really that close with George?" Like,
Leia's one of the few people actually too where. So, like, Claire and I had to kind of divvy up some of the confessionals based on where we lived and stuff like that. And Leia actually did a lot of her confessionals with Claire. I wish that I got to do more with her, because she was so passionate in her confessionals. Like, she's always leaning forward and just like, look, listen. Like, so yeah, they just are super into it, and I'm really glad. And that's why this next challenge is the best.
Yes.
Touchy subjects, baby. It's time. We're here. Akshay is, rolling over in his grave because this was like his favorite thing. And he told me going into this vote, like beforehand, he's just like, hey, like if I go out tonight, like I'm going to be pissed if you do touchy subjects. I'm like, whoopsies. So we have touchy subjects. We have 3 big things coming out of this. 1, we have Brittany getting a lot of the bad stuff.
Yeah.
We have the Alexes writing down each other that they would trust each other with their life after they just did a fake fight, and now they're idiots. It's just like they look at each other and laugh about it. They even talk about it in the car later. They look at each other like, "What are we? Are we dumb? Like, come on."
These guys are so good at the game. Both of them really good at the game, except for this one thing where they are consistently so dumb. I mean, just from Jump Street. And it's like both of these guys are really great Survivor players. And it's just like, what, 5-6 times they're all like, oh, we posted a picture together. We posted another picture together. Like, stop. Like, oh, we're fighting, but we also trust each other with our lives. Like, stop doing that. Stop. Like, it's been one of the funniest running gags, like, across any reality show I watch. The idea of just coming back in these 2 goofballs, like, just like, I can't believe you posted you have a cover photo, and it just goes, whoops.
Yeah, I almost titled the episode just "Oops" because it's just so dumb.
So good.
Oh my gosh.
So we have all this, stuff coming out of this, and again, Brittany realizes herself, like she understands her own perception and even votes for herself for least deserving, knowing other people are saying that. Again, it's just frustration, and she understands that, and that's why we will get to her, trying to do this plan, which other people are already doing on their own. Sadly, she doesn't get to come up with the big master plan because other people are already in motion. But then again, biggest thing is Liz is now public enemy number one. And she knows it now.
And this is where the Mitch Liz thing from the last episode super pays off for Liz. And why, like, hindsight's obviously 2020, but why it was clearly the right move for Liz to tell Mitch she had the idol, even though, like, it's not what I would have done. Like, it's clearly right because in the end, at the end of the day, it's Mitch that saves Liz. Like it's Mitch that says, I don't want to keep Cooper. I want to keep Liz. And it's an amazing moment because we don't actually see that much Mitch and Liz, just the two of them talking, but it's an amazing moment that pays off this idea of like, oh, these two are really close. Cause like by all intents and purposes, she has an idol in her pocket. He knows about it. He's got her head on a platter and he still won't take her out.
Right. It's basically this idea that even if you're against me, I still trust you. So maybe you'll still give me a vote. And it does happen. He does mess up in the first vote, but then the second vote, he can't. He just can't vote for Liz at the end of the day until next episode. But at this moment, he is not disgusted, as he says. We'll get to that. So iconic. But basically, there's a lot to digest with this episode. So let's kind of, go through those sequence of events really quickly. We kind of start off with this, and I'll kind of gloss over this, but Cooper and Leia, they've kind of had this idea for a while, but it's really brought up this episode. Cooper's like, I'm ready to turn on Liz. I'm ready to do this. I want to use Thal. I have this relationship with him. Let's put something together to blindside her. Let's take her out now. Brittany gets brought into that. Originally, they don't know if they should or not, but Brittany had the idea on her own accord, and now they kind of all come together. So that's the first step. Do you guys think this is the right time to go after Liz, kind of maybe knowing she has the idol or not? Do you think this is the right time to take her out?
I mean, yes, because she's getting closer with the Alex's. Well, I guess it's sort of, they don't know that that's happening, but so with that happening behind the scenes, it is the perfect time to do that. But on the flip side, because Thal is getting closer to Liz, I guess it kind of isn't, because if he truly doesn't want her to go, he's not going to go along with the plan. So it's kind of, I guess there's some different layers there.
The key thing here, I think, is that Thal and Liz relationship, because they want to bring in Thal, but they don't know that closeness.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So, I think it was good timing for them, for Leia and Cooper, and Brittany, but yeah, not knowing that was going on behind the scenes, there was nothing they could do about that, about not knowing. So good timing, but bad timing at the same time.
But then immediately Thal tells Liz about this, and is like, hey, this is happening. And then Leia tells Mitch about that this is happening, which again shows that strength there of, even though Leia is with Cooper and they know each other beforehand, really the real relationship here is Leia and Mitch. And so she goes to him and says that, and then Mitch tells her about this kind of like idol shenanigans, and now everything is just kind of like blown up for the most part. And really the driving forces here are this secret relationship between Mitch and Leia, and this secret relationship between Thal and Liz. Because after this reveal happens, Thal's like, I'm going to reveal this to Mitch, and he'll come on board with me and Liz, and we'll take out Cooper, easy peasy. And it doesn't happen because Mitch never tells Liz about this, about any of these shenanigans going on, and that's a huge red flag for Liz, who is talking to Thal about the fact that he's doing this. And then Mitch tells Thal about the idol, and it's just another big red flag. So yeah, this is kind of like where the secret relationships are coming into play here. Do you think it was smart of Mitch to tell Thal about the idol? Because Mitch's real goal here this week is get Liz to play the idol, but keep her here at the same time.
So I'm going to be honest, I was really lost when Mitch
I was
decided
too.
to say that. Like, I guess it might be a little difficult knowing Thal already knew about it and knowing about Thal and Liz's relationship. I was personally a little confused as to why he did that.
Yeah, I've watched this episode 3 times now, and I'm still like, even today I watched it again, and I was still like, I have notes here that are like, wait, what? Like, because there's just that scene where Thal is like in the backyard, and he like seems to talk to the entire cast like one by one while it's insane what happens here. I think at this point everybody's operating like on the best information they have. Because what you said, George, is so right. Like, there's all these secret relationships that people just don't know about. And so there's no real reason for Mitch to think Thal and Liz have a relationship. Or there's no real reason for Liz to think Mitch and Leia have a relationship. And so it's so complex, and there's so many layers to what happens here. And what's so great is Alex Thal just blows the whole thing up just several times.
Yeah.
It's kind of a crazy play because like there's several different options Thal has, and he just chooses to just burn the house down, and it works out brilliantly for him. Like it ends up working in a best case scenario for him, where somebody goes home that he was never going to work with, and somebody that was a huge jury threat to win goes home at this point. It's a crazy plan, but I mean, I guess if you're going to be results oriented, you have to say like Thal has a great episode here.
He has, I think, and a lot of people have said this, 90% a perfect episode. Because it does, at the end of the day and the beginning of the day, look really, really good for him. He has a lot of the information besides the Leia and Mitch relationship. He has a bunch of options. He can go with Leia, Cooper, and Brittany, which he was probably going to do. Vote for Liz, pretend to be with her or be with them, have Liz play the idol, be surprised, and then Cooper ends up going, which we don't know if Mitch would actually vote for Cooper. Or he goes with just straight up voting, Cooper out with everybody. But I think what happens is he gets greedy at the last second because he wants everything. He wants really, he knows at the end of the day, Mitch is the one person who knows about kind of the secret relationship, kind of a little bit, or at least the connection and really the information that he might not be working with Leia, Cooper, and Brittany. And if he just goes, everything's fine because there's a potential for maybe Liz to still have the idol. There's a potential for him to still be working with Leia, Cooper, and Brittany. There's a lot of potential there. So he's like, all right, I want it all. And he goes to Cooper. He's going to Leia. And really, Tarowski almost ends up going home because of it. They almost flipped the vote last second to Tarowski because they're so worried about it. And I talked a little bit about this on the Keep Your Torchlit podcast. I sent in like a little audio clip, but right before Tribal, like Cooper's like, yo, I don't trust this. Like, I don't even know anymore about Thal because of all this backtracking. And he's like, I'm just going to blow it all up. And then Thal walks right by him and he's just like, I'm voting Mitch. And he's like, all right, that's the last straw. George, and he raises his hand and everything is history after that. So let's talk about that Tribal.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I had no idea. Like I knew that he went home because he came back to my apartment and bawled his eyes out.
Don't tell us that.
It's fine. He's a big boy. He gets over it. But like it's so funny because like my parents, they know him, they love him and everything. And I showed them this episode and my mom was just like, what was Cooper thinking? That was so stupid. Why would he just blow everything up like that? Like that was, it makes, like it is just so ridiculous. It is so insane. I mean, it's very entertaining. I have to give him that. But seeing him scramble like that was something else.
It was also fun from my perspective because I'm sitting there as the host, like, all right, I have a bunch of questions that I have to ask these people. And Cooper is just like, no,
Yeah.
I am the host now. I'm talking. And yeah, it was hilarious. I cut out this a lot because I didn't want to make myself look like a jerk. But there was a couple times where I'm like, all right, everybody reel it in because I gotta like move this going. We're gonna be here for like 8 hours if we don't just like talk. And I cut out so much of this tribal.
Wow.
Huge insider information if you don't listen, to the fan podcast. But Liz pulled out her idol during this tribal.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't show this, but
What?
there was so much going on with Mitch even claiming he had the idol. All this BS. Cooper lying through his teeth saying, this is what's actually going to happen. He's totally lying the whole time so we can throw people off. There's so much happening, and it was so dense. And I already realized that the audience and everybody really realized that everybody knows Liz has the idol for the most part. I didn't think it was super crucial. And it kind of like nothing really happened afterwards. Everyone's just like, oh, okay, like we know. And then it kind of moved on. So I'm like, I don't really think that's important. But that even happened too. Like the fact that I cut out an idol reveal means there was way too much going on. So much.
And the return of indignant Cooper, which was so fun. Where Cooper just looks at Liz and just like, just vote with us. And she's like, you were going to vote for me. And he's like, yeah, we were going to vote for you. It's such a brilliant moment where like he's clearly not trying to be funny. Like, and he's clearly being very serious in the moment, but it's so funny. This whole tribal is so good. My big question though, sitting there as a viewer, and especially now time number 3 through this, is you have Leia, Brittany, Mitch, and Cooper all there. Why don't the 4 of them just huddle up and make a decision? Like the whole time I'm sitting there, because Liz is making it clear, like, hey, like I'm not working with, like I have no reason to trust you. I have no reason to vote for you. And you have 4 people here and 3 people here, and the whole time, like I'm just on the edge of my seat. Like you 4, like do something. Like you have these 2 Alexes here, and neither one of them have immunity, and they don't have an idol. Like do something here, and they just don't. And it's so, oh my gosh.
I also love Tarasky this whole tribal saying nothing.
Yeah.
Like just
It's
sitting
so
up in the
good.
top right corner. And he's just like, I was like, so Tarasky, you have anything to say about this? He's just like, nope. Like I'm good. Like totally cool. But then like, they're talking for forever and you really don't know what's going to happen. And then Cooper doesn't talk to Thal and you're like, is Thal going home? Like who's going home? And I think to answer your question, Paul, is just like 2 main reasons. One, I don't think Mitch is going to be voting for Liz. And I don't think everybody realizes that, but I just don't think, like, even if that comes down to it, I think he doesn't do it. And 2, I just think there was so much paranoia going in and during tribal. They just weren't able to get on the same page. And it's just votes for Tarasky. Like, he doesn't even know what's going on. He's just like, maybe we'll just stick to the original plan that I think Cooper's saying, and we'll just split the votes or something like that, like do whatever. And it goes to a tie. And then on the revote, Mitch can't pull the trigger and Cooper goes home. And Liz doesn't play her idol.
Oh my gosh.
That was insane. I'm like, she's going to stand up. She's going to stand up. And no.
Yeah.
I had thought she was going to play the idol. So if you look at me revealing the votes there, like, I'm not, on Jeff Probst's level. Like, I don't do a second, like, oh, they don't play the idol. Okay, I'm going to reshuffle things. Like, I was like, okay, here's all the Liz votes first because I thought she was playing her idol. Like, I'm like, I don't know.
What's so crazy is when that happened last week, my first thought was like, man, she didn't play her idol. She's just like Kelly Wentworth. Like, she's so brave, like, not playing her idol, doing all that. And then it works out super well for both of those ladies. But no, it's amazing. And it's super credit to Liz for sitting on that idol after all that craziness and just being like, no, like, I think I know what's going to happen. I think I'm good. And then she is good. Liz is one of the people for me that like ship her straight to CBS, like get her straight on the island. Like, I think, I really think she's one of the people like across franchises that I look at that I'm like, she's got everything. She is a casting dream. Like, if she wants to, they should put her out there like season 39. Like, let's go.
Wow. I almost didn't cast her. I'm gonna be honest here,
gosh.
and I hate myself for it. Let's
Liz and Cooper,
all right,
George.
yeah, let's put the hate in the chat.
gosh.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
have it come. I understand.
Gosh.
Look, all right, guys. Okay, for starters, Cooper. There was another guy. I'm sorry, and he was really good. He didn't make it, and then last minute, a guy was just like, "Hey, I can't make it." And we're like, "Cooper, you're in." We thought he was just like a baby-faced boy. Like we didn't know if he was gonna be super crazy. Little did I know. And then with Liz, it was we had like rankings and stuff and points to to certain people because we had 130 plus people we had to deal with.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
And with Liz, she was just on the cusp right there. She was the last person. Because I don't know, I think she was just super nervous. Like you've seen her confessionals all the time. She's just like that. She is super bubbly and fun and great and stuff like that. But I think she was just like really nervous, and so we're like, I don't know, but I think there's something there, and she's in the cast. So hey,
wow,
she made the cast. Whatever. I picked the right person at the end of the day, guys. You can't put it on me because look what I got. I got a joke. Just saying.
Wow.
Thanks, guys. Anyways,
crazy.
Cooper's gone. Everything's out
Cooper.
of the window. Cooper is done.
No.
The biggest flipper of all time. The prodigy child, the chosen one. 70% of people picked him as their winner pick, like in episode 1.
Yep.
Don't give him that much credit.
Sorry, guys, but it didn't happen.
There was like a series of Insta posts that went out before, like 2 weeks before the first episode, and I was like, Cooper. Like we're all gonna stan Cooper,
Totally.
And then we all did stan Cooper.
Yes, of course.
And it was well rewarded. He's amazing. I love Cooper.
It's fair. It's a fair choice. I'm not gonna lie. But also, we don't need to boost his ego anymore.
All right, good point. Should we go back to like his night after he got voted off? Should we talk about that? But no,
he does at one point look at the camera and just go, "Am I the worst idol hunter in Survivor history?" And like I sat there and I thought, yeah. I thought like because I was trying to like think of like people who'd like been so close to so many idols. Like I can't think of any like across any franchise of somebody who'd been like, he's like this close in the volleyball pit. He has the clue for the one in the Diac, and he just cannot.
He led Liz to the idol. He led her there.
Really, really stunningly bad. So I love
Cooper sucks. Cooper sucks.
I love Cooper. Cooper is one of the 9 cast members that I stand this season, but man, he was not good at finding idols. God bless him.
Wow, lots of stands. All right, let's rip Cooper. Let's move on to the last episode we have to talk about
we
here.
did breeze past though because I have it in my notes. I just have in all caps Nana.
Nana.
I don't want another moment to go by.
The unofficial
one of the great shots of the whole series.
The 19th cast member, Nana.
It's true.
Maybe 20th cast member, Mitch's mom, but we see Nana.
Yes.
Yeah, we see
Don't
her.
Don't forget Bentley.
Oh, true.
Oh, yeah,
right.
that's
we
a
got
great point.
It's a big season.
Yes.
Bentley makes the screen more than Nana does, I think.
That's true.
So.
Yeah, he makes a thumbnail too, so look at that. But Nana, I love Nana. Every single shot of her in this is so good. Oh my god! Like even we see her in episode 2 really quick.
Yes.
Even like when Brittany's talking about her, it's a nice callback, and she's got the necklace on and all this stuff, and she's like, "Hi, YouTube!" It's so great.
That one, and then I need a GIF, and I'm not super technical, so I can't make a GIF of just Mitch on the phone with his mom, like, "Yeah, mom, it didn't go so good." Like, it's so. Like one of like the legit laugh out loud moments of this season is him just on the phone with his mom right after Tribal, like, yeah. Like it's like it was like after a T-ball game, and he's like, yeah. Like it's so good. I love it so much. Mitch forever.
I will make that for you.
Thank you. Yes, I will make my life.
And
I'll tag you. I'll be like, just for you.
Wow.
I will use it daily.
Oh my god! Even when Mitch isn't talking with his mom, he's talking about his mom. When they were doing the idol hunt, he's just like, "Sorry, mom, that we didn't find the idol. I stayed up late." Or he swears and he's like, "Sorry, mom."
Yeah.
Love it. All right, let's get to depression. Let's get to the episode. This maybe the most emotional way we can lead into this finale.
Oh my gosh.
This was heartbreaking.
Every
It
single
was.
person. 4%, I'm not kidding. 4% of people thought Liz was going home this episode. After last week, I posted in the post-watch poll, there's like, I think like 100 responses or something like that. And in the question of who's going home next, it was like definitely Leia or Mitch or Tarowski or whoever. The last person on that list was Liz with 4%. Nobody. She has an idol. She's in a great spot. She's doing all this, and she couldn't go out in a worse way possible, and it's unbelievable. So let's get into this. For starters, we got a cold open. I recorded myself. I recorded myself doing a previously on Survivor or whatever, and I'm like, you know what? Nah, screw this. Like, we know what happened, kind of. Let's just go because it's scary. And it was wow. What did you guys think about this fallout? Mitch apologizing, all of this. Tarowski just standing there, like all that.
Yeah. Another great Leia post-tribal moment where she's just like, Thal screwed us all. Like, she just has this realization, and I don't know whether she's more mad or sad or hurt. Like, she's just standing there, and it's such a great shot, even like filmically, of just her just like, he screwed us. It's so good.
Leia always brought those post-tribal moments. I loved it so much. She's like, even like to, when they get around all together, she's just like, look, Liz, I thought, I knew you were threatened by me. Like, I know, I had to go for you, blah, 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 blah. Like, it was very, high stakes emotions. Like, I didn't have enough hands to be recording all the different conversations. Mitch is talking to Liz about, like, I'm so sorry. They hug it out, but Liz is like, I don't know about this. So, yeah, loved that moment. Let's talk about the relay race, guys. Thoughts on the ending?
I have thoughts on all of it.
Okay, let's go through it.
Yeah.
Start it off. Do it.
None of these people are going to be my celebrity shot. None of them. Because some of them, it seems like they're taking a long time to sip one cup.
For the record, I will just say this again for Leia's sake, but like, she made it multiple times, but because there was no water in the cup, it kept bouncing out.
Okay.
So it wouldn't. I can test for her. Like, she is very good at beer pong. She is very good.
All right.
I will say that was the hard part of the whole challenge, was just keeping the ball in there, because it would go in and then the cup would fall over. And eventually, like, towards the end, right before like the ending, I was like, all right, if you just make it in and it falls over, you can go. And then they kind of left. So that worked out. But
that makes you feel a lot better, I'm gonna be honest. Because I was literally watching and thinking that exact thing, like, man, like, I know some of these people are good at beer pong. Like I know, I know they are. Like, you're really going to tell me neither one of these Alexes are any good at beer pong? Like, really?
Oh man, yeah. But that's actually a good point. There was no water in there, so even a cup falls over a million times. Like, they keep picking up, and it's so crazy. There's even a moment where it's just Leia and Tarowski there, and I cut this out because it wasn't too important. They were totally BSing each other the whole time, but they kind of just started talking. They're like, "We're not gonna win. Let's just like randomly throw the ball and start talking." They kind of just shoot the they just did whatever. But yeah, we get towards the ending. Mitch runs to the big house and back before.
Oh my god,
that was crazy.
Yes.
Honestly, I was shocked. That blew my mind. I didn't think, like, when he decided to run, I was like, oh, okay, we'll see how that goes.
That's a long run.
That's a long ass run.
I posted on Twitter, I forget the actual mileage, but it would take, like, if you're full on sprinting, like 20 minutes or something like that, there and back, or 25, but he clearly had experience,
wasn't he?
What'd you say?
He was in jeans too. That's hard.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Afterwards, I had to go, I work at Yoast. This was filmed at the ice rink at Yoast. And I had to just go confiscate a water bottle real quick and throw it to him, because that dude was going to die on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
He was,
although he still takes the time to stick out his tongue in the selfie he took at the big house. So he seems stressed, but also I just wanted to point that out. He's like, hey, and then he started like, okay.
Oh man. And
Oh.
then
It's also crazy that it's just seconds before.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep,
All
Thal was
just
right
like
there.
collapses on the ground. Like I had it. He had it.
He was
awful.
one of the first ones there with Brittany doing that, and the fact that he took all that time and didn't get in the end, yeah, it's just rough.
What about with Liz knowing that she had work? Why didn't she just get the 5-minute penalty right away as the challenge started?
I don't
Or
think
did
she was. I don't think she was thinking enough. I think
No.
she so that 5-minute penalty was actually a really big like strategy. And at the end of the day, it's really helped Mitch. It didn't help Tarowski at all. Couldn't make a shot to save his life. But it was a legitimate strategy. Like if you really didn't think you were good at doing those, that really short like untying, and you ripped it apart or something like that, like just take the time penalty. Like do it right there. And so I just think maybe Liz's her something like confidence or something kind of got over her, and she just was like, I got to do this. Like it's too long now. And the longer you wait, the more you're doing it more and more. You're like, if I do it now, it's 5 more minutes. So I think she just thought she was almost there, and she couldn't do it. So she just left.
And she had an idol.
She did have an idol too. That is a good point.
At that moment, maybe she was just like, all right, well, I don't need this, so I'll go to work.
Yeah.
That's true. She felt like she had her own separate immunity, so she didn't need to win it necessarily.
Yeah, and sadly, she did need to win. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's get into this. This isn't a very in terms of strategy, there isn't much wiggle room here. It's more of social politics. You have Mitch describing the game of kind of Britt, Leia, Thal, Tarowski, and then Mitch and Liz in the center. It's not actually that, but that's what he's thinking at the beginning. And so from that perspective, they're trying to just figure out, is there a way where we can, throw the votes a certain way, split the votes. They might want to get an Alex out. We'll see what we can do. But while that's happening, we have the alley scene where the Alexes and Liz solidify this relationship. There's a lot to unpack just from this scene in terms of their relationship, what Tarowski's thinking, all of that. So what do you guys think about them coming together to make it official?
I think it's super interesting because what do Liz and Tarowski have? Because the question kind of is always going to be who's the third wheel in this situation? Is it Liz? Is it Tarowski? Who's really third wheeling this? But they seem to just all get along just swimmingly. They seem to be totally into it. They're so it's almost a shame that we don't see them, I mean, we do get to see, I guess, where Thal's head is at anyway, as far as that goes. But I thought it was really cool. I thought, obviously, the Alex is recording confessionals in weird places, and now they've pulled Liz into their world of
they have created the weird confessional alliance, and Liz is a part of it officially with this alley scene. Talked about on the Keep Your Torch Lit podcast. Tarowski freaking pees in the alley.
While they're there talking.
While they're there, a couple feet away.
That's when you know. That's when you know it's true alliance.
Oh yeah, they're bonded for life, or at least one episode. Very very sad I didn't get to see more of this group because they were hilarious together. Oh my god.
That is a good point, though, just bringing up which one's the third wheel, because you do obviously it's a very memorable moment when Liz and Thal clearly become pretty hardcore allies. But I guess it is kind of missed, and I don't know, George, if you can clarify any of this, but where Tarowski and Liz's relationship came from, if there was one between the two of them at all, or if Thal just kind of connected the two.
It was a little column A, a little column B. Tarowski and Liz actually started talking before Thal and Liz ever did. They were talking around the swap because they were on, so they were on the same tribe there. And it was kind of coy stuff. It wasn't ever, super important stuff. It was more of just keeping the lines of communication open. And so even the episode before, he even, Tarowski spills the beans that, hey, this is a fake idol, all this stuff. He's telling a lot to Liz in confidence, and that's kind of building a little trust. And that's separate from Thal, so it doesn't seem like they're together.
Right.
But then you have a million conversations now on the phone where Thal's talking with Liz or Tarowski's talking with Liz, but the other one is still there with them.
Right.
So they're basically kind of trying to converge it. So Liz is just naturally heading towards that direction anyway. So they're both in their own right talking.
She has no idea.
For sure. She has absolutely no
Right.
clue. And that's kind of the important thing. And that's why I love getting the text messages and messages from Liz, like during the scene where Liz reveals the idol to the Alexes, which is just so unbelievable, where they're just like,
It's so good.
yeah.
Are
was
you there
perfect.
in that room, George, or are they filming that themselves?
I am in the other corner. So
Were you really?
yes, I
Oh,
was
wow.
there. I was there filming a confessional, and Liz called. She was talking with Tarowski. They ended that conversation, and then she started talking with Thal. That's when she reveals it. They're recording from like a
crazy.
laptop. I had my phone. I'm like, oh, I don't need to record anymore. I'll just wait for them to have, finish their conversation. We'll do that. And as I'm just like texting, I'm waiting for them to finish. I hear Liz start talking like this, and I'm like, oh my God. Oh, this is happening. And I'm looking at that, and I'm really trying to hold my breath because I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm here as these two grown men are flipping out, like absolute like meme faces everywhere. Just like, I couldn't believe it. So that, but yeah, they kind of had a connection beforehand. So that's why even Tarowski afterwards kind of has that discussion with Liz, where he even talks about the fact that he's like, I am not going to rocks for Liz. Like, I will murder her in cold blood if I need to. Like, I am the villain. Like, whatever. Like, so yeah. So we have that. Let me get past that. Next up, so we have clearly it's going to be two different sides here, no matter what Mitch is thinking at this moment.
We know what Mitch is thinking in this moment.
Yes. Eventually it comes to the point where Liz just straight up tells Mitch, yeah, I think we should go with Alex as a vote out the other side. And Mitch is not happy with that.
Oh, man. Villain Mitch.
Yeah.
Full heel turn Mitch. It's progressed. The Mitch story arc this season, I'm a Mitch stan for sure. The Mitch story arc this season is so great. Like in episode 3, he's eating a whole head of lettuce, like listening to trap music. And I'm like, this is the best. And in episode 6, he's just like, it's like what I imagine the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie is going to be. Like just this man's slow descent into madness. That like in this episode, he's just looking at the camera, just like selfish, disgusting. And like, it's a very like unironically intense. And I'm like, wait, this is the same guy who like did the cinnamon challenge like all this time ago. Like this is fun Midwestern Mitch, like who's now like this very serious, like super villain. And I love it so much.
This goes from sending the wrong text to people to cutting people's throats in broad. Really cool to see that.
Complete transformation. And I love it.
So we talked about this a little about Brittany. So Brittany kind of, even though Mitch is the one you see kind of talking with Brittany about this, and then eventually Leia about the fact that, hey, no matter what, we're voting together. Brittany really from the get-go was always going to do that. And she knew because of her perception that we were always going to have to vote one of them out. I guess I'll ask, Joe, do you think that, Brittany made the right move here in trying to go to, I guess at the end of the day, it works out for them, but in going to Thal and kind of Tarowski and telling them like, hey, like, we might actually vote with you and stuff like that. Do you think that was the right move, or do you think they should have just played the, hey, let's just try to find the one they're not putting the idol on? Yeah,
I mean, right. She's known Liz has been a big threat for a long time. So, we're getting close to the end. So, I mean, I guess it depends on where things would go after that for her. Going to the Alexes, voting together with them, taking out Liz, what's kind of her next move after that? I mean, would that really like strengthen her bond with them to continue on longer, or would it just be like a one-time thing? Like, let's vote together here. And then they could just pick them off after that. So Brittany has known Liz was a threat for a while. So I think it made sense to give it a shot at this point, getting close to the end.
think it was just tough for her because she, and she makes this a point, and everybody makes this a point to say, like, Brittany doesn't lie. She really doesn't,
Right.
for the most part. She doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And so this was kind of her first step into that territory where she's just like, at the end of the day, we're probably all three of us going to vote together, but I should still try to maybe lie to Thal that Mitch isn't going to vote for with you guys or something like that, and we're going to be splitting our votes or whatever. And I mean, again, at the end of the day, that is what kind of makes Thal wary, and in the end, it is what makes him kind of want Liz to play the idol on him. So it does work, but kind of for the different reasons. So let's get to that. Let's get to Tribal Council.
Wow.
I know you guys. I know you don't want to relive this. No one in the chat wants to relive this. I don't want to relive this. I had to edit this thing, and it was the worst thing ever. It was gut-wrenching, but exciting. Everyone's playing.
George, don't deny.
All right, I enjoyed it a little bit. Going into this, everyone's pretty much playing coy at Tribal Council. They make it a point to be like kind of joking around and stuff like that. And it's really nothing substantial comes from the Tribal Council. After a crazy Tribal Council like the week before, this is pretty tame. And it's because everyone's trying to hold their cards, close. We have an idol out there. We don't want to make anything, any sudden movements. So did any of you think she was playing the idol on Thal?
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No.
No.
Yeah. I neither. Yeah, it was definitely and this isn't anything, but Thal he was asking me right before this premiere. He's like, have you made it pretty clear that this was kind of on me? And I was like, yeah. Thal got wind of this information, and he basically came to Liz. Is like, hey, I think you might as well play the idol on me, because I think maybe Brittany and Leia might or might not. I think they'll probably be voting with us, and Mitch won't, and then there'll be split votes. But just in case, there might be votes on me, so you should play the idol on me. And really, at the end of the day, Liz's trust in Thal and that relationship that they built that saved her in the first place is what ends her game, which is wild. What did you guys think after you saw all the votes for Liz after she played the idol for Thal? What was going through your head? What did you guys think was going to happen?
I mean, I just immediately thought, like, if you're in the final 6 and you have an idol, you don't play it for somebody else. Like, that's just
right.
I feel like it's just like a rule, like, to keep yourself in the game.
Unless you're Natalie, unless you are a really good San Juan del Sur player, and you decide that you're just like a boss and for sure. But this was kind of a like, Liz, you think like votes are probably gonna go your way, like. It's tough.
Yeah, I think it's just a testament to Thal. It's funny, like, they came together. We were talking about how charismatic and charming they were. Like, yeah, she just ate it all up, and yeah, I was just like staring at the screen, like, what did she say? I think she misspoke. Like, she called herself Thal for some reason. Like, what? Like, wait, you said the wrong. Like, you're Liz, and my jaw was on the floor, honestly. For that was just powerful. And again, as I was saying before, like, because I'm rooting for literally everyone, it's like it was like crazy bad that was happening, but then crazy good, and just like the emotions in my brain was just like, oh, that was a moment. That was a moment.
It's incredible. I mean, it's incredible. She holds on to this idol through the craziest Tribal Council ever, and then has this it's one of those things where, like, I don't necessarily knock Liz for it. Like, I don't think it's like a bad play per se, because I think if it works and she plays the idol on Thal and that's where the votes are and they go into the final 3, I think she wins. I think at the end of the day, I think that's a big enough move that even some of the people who, like, maybe she, like, even like the Coopers of the world, who maybe she's like not been super like aligned with or faithful to, that I think would look at something like that and go, yeah, she's got it. So I don't necessarily fault her for that, but how do you not play it for yourself at the final 6?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's rough. And I think it'll haunt her forever. I saw her in the chat earlier. I don't know if she's still there, but I mean, everyone will get on her case about this all the time, so I don't need to jump on that bandwagon, but it was very rough for that to happen. And it was even worse because the person who had to end it all was Thal. Again, like I've talked about, CBS isn't, here. They're not making me edit in a certain way. After I put that flashback in there, did you guys for sure think that he was voting out Tarowski? That's what I want to know.
That's what I thought was happening.
Or sending in the rocks.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be the big Thal backstab of Tarowski. Like, we're going back to day one. Like, yes, like, let's do it. This is going to be an all-time iconic move. And then it doesn't happen. He stays true to what he said on day 2. Or goes back on what he said on day 2, rather, where he said, if I got to cut Tarowski, I got to cut him. But in the end, and we had like, a 20-page discussion about this on Twitter about like, what is Thal thinking? Like, is it strategic or is it just like he cannot pull the trigger on his apple picking buddy?
Yeah, the flashback was beautiful. That was because it was so unexpected. Because you don't ever see that at Tribal, so it was just like. And then you see him saying that, and you're just like, wait, is this it? Is this where he is? Like, the bromance is ending here? And honestly, I think my brain was still processing the Liz not using the idol on her. So I don't remember exactly. I think I was just going back and forth. Like, is he going to, I don't, it was crazy. But that was such a great moment just to flash back to that and just be like, where Thal was, what was it, day 2, and to come back to where he was now. That I don't know. That was awesome.
He also had shaved his head.
I was just about to comment on
that.
It was lovely to see both his personal and his hair growth through the season.
He said he did that on purpose. He was like, I'm gonna make it all the way for sure. So like, I'm gonna shave my head day 1, and I'm gonna grow it. Like, I'm gonna get island hot just like the show. I was like, oh my god, legit. Like, the interview I did with him to get on the show, he had the full head of hair, and then when he shows up day 1, he's got no hair. I was like, what? It's very luscious. What are you doing?
You only cast him for his hair? Is that what you're saying?
His hair played into the reason he was cast?
No, I'm just saying he had a look about him, and I'm glad it came
What was
back.
going on in the season 1 casting department? the real revelation of this podcast.
You have good hair. You're in.
Stop.
All right, it worked out in the end. Okay, all right. I will say my favorite interview I did was probably with Tarowski, because he did it in a dark room with just the light of his laptop. And it was just like the creepiest thing I've ever seen ever. He's just like, hey, how's it going? I was like, oh, hey. And he's just smiling the whole time. Like, he's gonna like grab through the screen and yank me and kill me somehow. Like, this guy, it was basically a lock at that point. But yeah, it was like, that was really scary. But yeah, all had the hair. I think in Brittany's, she showed me around her entire room, which is so great. It had all the Survivor memorabilia.
Oh, that's awesome.
So much stuff. It's like every buff ever. The Jeff.
I'm pretty sure she has like she might hate me for bringing this up now, but like a cardboard cutout of her like hugging Jeff or something. Like,
oh my gosh,
I don't
That's
know.
awesome.
She is a hardcore fan, and there's nothing wrong with it. Brittany, embrace it.
It's why we cast her. Like, we cast her because she was, out of everybody, like some of these people were really big fans. Brittany was the super fan. Like, of all of the super fans, she was the most of them. And it was, Matthew was up there too with his like, he emailed us his like handwritten Survivor seasons that he made up himself.
Oh my gosh,
that is awesome.
Fiction, you guys.
Fan fiction.
I'm not surprised.
Unreal. So he's
That's
up there
awesome.
too, but Brittany is like hands down, the biggest fan.
I'm gonna need access to some of this Matthew fan fiction at some point.
I'm not making it public. If he wants to make it public,
I
he
don't
can
know.
do
Yeah,
that.
I don't know if he's in the chat or whatever, but yeah, somebody's gonna need to email me that
I'm
stat.
sure it's on Reddit somewhere or something.
Oh
Right.
yes,
Oh my
even
God.
better.
Yeah, just, honestly, I feel scared to type in Google Survivor fan fiction. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. Just to wrap that up, we have this crazy moment, and if I could do a spoiler title for the episode, it would just be "It's Liz." It was just heart-wrenching, and her face, you can see it, and I love Akshay and Cooper just going like,
oh my gosh, those guys are great.
I'm so glad they returned.
I'm so glad they're
friends.
reunited on the jury. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Oh my God. Yeah. So just all around heartbreaking, and that's where we leave off. Like the last thing we see is Tarowski walking down the stairs to sit next to Thal after he saved him, and everybody else is walking away, and we fade to black. And this is our final five.
Oh
this
my
is
gosh.
it right here.
Epic. Epic.
I don't want to go, I won't personally go into too depth about the character because we get like a big thing at the beginning of the finale, but let's talk a little bit about their games to wrap this all up, and then maybe I'll share some of this Excel doc I have. Let's start with Thal. How do we feel about Thal's game and where he's come to this point?
I think he's definitely made a name for himself. I feel like a lot of the first half of his game was kind of behind Tarowski. But he once, like we were talking about earlier, their games kind of separated. He, once the tribe swap happened, he kind of pulled himself up and he's fought through a lot of different underdog positions. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I do like that Thal kind of went out on his own. He was behind Tarowski, as Katie was saying, but I think Tarowski even said it in one episode, like Thal, I feel like was making more social connections, but he's, especially with Liz, especially like, could she vote for him in the end? I don't think so. So I feel like he might actually do more damage by creating more relationships with people because he's going to have to vote these people out. So it will be interesting to see if he can recover from that if he makes the final two.
Yeah, I think that's the big question is Thal Tarowski, who wins at this point? Because obviously Tarowski played a big game in the pre-merge. Flashy, he's been a little bit more of kind of the overt player. But Thal's had a great post-merge, and he's built a ton of relationships. Somebody brought up Natalie Anderson earlier, and I think that's a great comparison for Thal, of somebody who, like, once the merge hit, started building relationships and really playing and had relationships with so many different people. So I love his game. I don't know who his combination of people to beat in the end is. I think he almost has to get there with Tarowski and then let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Leia. I guess, Katie, we can start with you if you want.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I can't say a lot. Like, not a whole lot is shown based on what I know she put into the game.
For sure.
But she is definitely one of the hardest, most strategic players left. I wanted to bring this up a little earlier, but George, you mentioned how Alex is kind of like a mob boss, or Tarowski is. Leia's also like that. I think it would be awesome if they had teamed up at some point.
Oh my God.
If they were to team up like that. I don't know how well that would work, but it would kind of it would be insane.
Someone would have died. Someone actually would have died.
Someone would actually die. But it's just, she's played very, very hard and very kind of under the radar. I mean, she's definitely been a threat, but nowhere near as much of a forefront of a threat as other people for as long as other people have been threats, kind of thing. She's been able to keep her moves behind other people, which may not help her in the end if it comes down to the final three and she's trying to prove that she's done certain things. But yeah, she's done very well so far.
And I don't think she's really made many enemies, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think that would help if she does get to the end and her moves were kind of behind the scenes. She'll at least have that going for her, going up against whoever she goes up against. So she's definitely a contender for sure.
Yeah, when you look at the makeup of the jury, and then think about the way Leia's able to talk, like in confessional and at tribal, like that would be somebody that I think if she makes it to the end, no matter who's there, she's got a real shot at it. Because I think she has the Cooper vote no matter what. Like I think there's a couple other votes, and like even those like early like Cara Angela votes, I think are winnable for Leia the way she talks and the way she's able to talk about her game. And she hasn't burned bridges. She hasn't really made enemies. I think she's a huge jury threat and a huge final tribal threat.
All right, let's talk about Tarski.
He's crazy, man.
we can do the round again. We can start with Katie again.
Okay. Sure. I don't know. Also a dude who's kind of been crazy strategic, but also kind of under the radar. I mean, he's had loads of votes. His name's been written down so many times, almost at every single tribal since I don't know the statistic. I'm not going to try and
it's weird. I think it's weird because I think at this point Thal has 0 votes and Tarski has like 15 or something. Like they mentioned that. They mentioned that Thal's like, oh, I have 0 votes, and Tarski walks by like, yeah, I got like 15. I got another one.
Yeah, so it's impressive if you look at it in that light. He's really pushed through a lot of difficult situations. Almost every single time after tribal, his name gets written down, and then people go off and talk, and he's just kind of like, all right, I'm over here if anyone wants to talk with me. Like he very much he emphasizes that underdog position, but he's also a villain. He's made enemies, and yeah, it would be interesting to see if the jury respects his game more than his social game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he definitely, played really hard in the beginning and then kind of stepped back a little bit. But yeah, with getting that many votes, I mean, he like through the merge, I think too. He could, especially if he's up against Thal, like we were saying before, if Thal's, I guess it's almost like how many enemies did each of us make, whether it be the same person or different people, and then just kind of fighting for those votes. It would be interesting to see them go up against each other, just even as like a scenario, just to see what that would be. But again, we have to wait and see what the jury, how they, perceive each Alex separately.
Yeah, Tarowski's been a big character the whole time. And I think what the question's going to be is, do people respect what he did or not? I almost think of somebody like Todd in Survivor China, where it's like, hey, like, you let me get here. Like, you let me get all the way to the end. You tried to vote me out, but you couldn't do it, like, no matter how hard you tried. And I think that's a compelling jury case to make if they let him get there, which how can they let him get there? I mean, I look into the makeup, and again, but I started saying that at the final 9. Like, how is he still here? And now he's in the final 5.
Right.
So, like, I just redouble every week. Like, you guys have got, like, if you let him get to the end, he should win. So I redouble my efforts in saying, how can he get to the end? And yet, if he does, it's a great Survivor game.
All right, let's talk about Brittany.
Someone else can start too. Like,
I just thought it was natural. Yeah.
I mean, I love Brittany. She is a great character in this season. The super van, I feel like, we can relate to that. I think it really just depends on, I kind of see her as I don't know if you guys have watched Australian Survivor. She could pull like a Christie. I don't know if you know who that is. But where it's kind of like she was behind the scenes the whole time, but then at the final tribal, it's like, no, like I was kind of doing that on purpose. And we kind of have seen that with her, you know, saying, we need to go after Mitch, you know, and then it's just like, it doesn't happen. So she could even argue that not trying to be one of the bigger players was her strategy, because if she had done that more, you know, she could have gotten out early. So I think she has a shot. I think it just depends on who she's sitting with. I don't know if we know if it's a final 3 or final 2, so I guess it really depends on that.
It is a final 3. I think it's mentioned like a few times or something like that, and nothing overt, but it is a final 3. Like, I'll put that out there. Yeah.
So, I mean, it would really just depend on who she's sitting next to, and if she can like eloquently, you know, describe her game, and leave the frustration at the door and just say, you know, this is what I did, and you know, give me your votes.
Yeah, I mean, an underrated story is Brittany has 2 challenge wins in the post-merge, which is something she can talk about. I think of like almost like Sandra in Heroes versus Villains, where she's like, I was telling you guys to take Tarowski out the whole time, like, and you didn't do it. Like, I think she could make a case that's really compelling, whether she's sitting next to Mitch and Leia, or even if she somehow ends there with both the Alexes. She could say, like, I told you guys to take these guys out over and over and over again, and you wouldn't do it. I had these notes. We had these conversations. I was trying to pull it in this direction. I told you what a big threat Liz was. I knew what was going on every single step of the game. I was always aware of who was the biggest threats and who were doing stuff. I think if she can articulate that without frustrated, I think she, again, she could be like Leia, a good talker at the final tribal council, and maybe sway some people, just depending on what the dynamic is.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree with what both of you guys said. I don't know if I personally see Brittany being able to talk her way through, like, to the jury, given who the final 5 are and what everyone else could present. But I just, it's frustrating because watching her, like, know what to do. She's had such a good, like, perceptive, like, she's been so perceptive
You got it.
about the entire game. And honestly, that's just like one of my biggest anxieties about like playing Survivor, is like knowing what to do but not being able to do it, kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, you guys bring up good points. She could definitely make that work into, like, she was there the whole time, but like just couldn't work with it. I don't know.
All right, and last but not least, we have Mitch.
Good old Mitch.
Again, a Mitch stan, but here's my hot take. I don't think there's a combination of people Mitch can beat.
Ooh, hot take.
Wow. Okay.
I love Mitch, and I've loved his game, but looking at the way the jury's put together, I think if he ends up there with Brittany and Leia, I think it probably goes to Leia. Because I think you're going to have to sway all of those Neela people. Those Neela people are going to end up making the final decision of who wins. And I don't know that any of them vote for Mitch in the end, especially both the Alexes. I don't think have any reason to vote for Mitch. And even somebody like Cooper, I don't know, Cooper, Akshay, where their votes are going to go, but I don't know that Mitch would be super high on their list. So as much as I've loved watching Mitch this season, as we've already talked about how much I love Mitch as a character, would love to see him play again, I don't think there's a combination of people he can beat.
Yeah, I think it depends too. Like, as we talked about his evolution throughout the game, I feel like he's gotten a little cockier and just, and I don't know how much it's shown in front of other players, but especially in his confessionals, like, you know, and he voted for himself as who should who should win the game, and yeah, he was the only one to do. So I think he's a contender to win, but it's really gonna come down to how his jury performance, and you know, if he can again like really speak to his game and kind of leave the, you know, big headedness or whatever at the door, and not be overly confident. Like if he goes in, he's like, I'm winning this, and then that comes across to the jury, they'll definitely, you know, especially with the final three, they'll definitely go to some, you know, put their votes on someone else. So I really think it's going to be, for Mitch at least, his, not jury management per se, but just the way that he comes across in the end. Definitely a big fan of his too, but yeah, he's got to find that like sweet spot of just, you know, don't be too cocky and just kind of, you know, answer the questions and, you know, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a great job. My biggest thing is like how much he'd be able to separate his game from Leia's if they end up in the final three together. Like obviously that's like the biggest difference between the Alexes and him and Leia at this point is that the Alexes do have a separate game at a certain point and they're able to pinpoint that time and obviously give examples of when they've done things for their own personal game. But so far, Mitch and Leia have been together the entire time doing stuff to help each other. Obviously, Mitch has his own or had his own relationship with Liz, but Leia had her own thing with Liz and Brittany as well. Yeah, and I don't know, I might be a little biased because of Leia, but I don't see much, like, especially if they end up in the final three together, how claiming certain moves between the two of them would work, how well that would benefit Mitch's game rather than Leia's, you know?
Well, that is the final five. Have no clue how this is the final five still. This somehow happened. I don't know how Brittany took her perception all the way to the end. I don't know how Mitch and Leia had this secret relationship this whole time. I don't know how the flippin' Alexes are both here. I thought maybe one, maybe. It's all wild and still a fever dream to me. So I'm very excited for you guys to see where it goes, who goes out when, and one of my favorite moments of the season happens in this finale. A little bit of preview right there.
There we go.
Yeah, very, very excited. Really quick, thank you guys so much for that amazing analysis. I just, in my head, I was just like, oh, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. If this final three happened and that, oh, but this was the final three. Oh, but that makes a lot of sense. So that was very entertaining for me as well. Let me bust out this Excel doc really quick before we go. I just wanted to see what you guys thought would be the perception, and then I would tell you really quick. I brought the post-watch poll up a little bit on the first, the pre-merge podcast. I have, like, at the end of the season, I'll probably release all of the data and all that, like percentages and, like, how many times everybody got, like, in the top three and stuff. But I have two big consistent things throughout all of the post-watch polls. It's who played the best game that week and who was your favorite contestant that week. Since we're doing just stuff after the merge, since I already talked about this stuff before, there's not separate categories for a Maison tribe and a Neela tribe. Okay. So it's all just, who is your favorite from the entire cast. And I have the top three for each of these. And I want to ask you guys who you think is up there for most of these. Just really quick, we'll kind of just go through it. So this first one is the merge episode itself. Who do you guys think is in the top three for favorite contestant that week?
Can you remind me who all's still in at that point?
So at the merge, this is, just a refresher. We have
Angela, Akshay, Cooper still in.
Yep.
Is Kara? Is Kara?
Kara, this is the Kara rock.
This is the Kara rock draw.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Good.
It's late where you are. Don't worry.
God bless you.
Guys,
It's tomorrow there.
Yeah, it is tomorrow. Yeah. So, who do you think are kind of up there for this episode? At this point,
that was a great Tarowski episode, if I remember right, and another good Cooper episode. So those would be my first thoughts.
Tarowski. We'll throw Liz in there too.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I like those.
I go along with that.
So, what I really liked about this is that each episode, most of the time, best game and favorite person didn't necessarily align, which is because a lot of the times you might think they're biased. Oh, the person who played the best game is the person I like, but it didn't necessarily happen. This week it did. So best or favorite contestant was very, very contested because it's the merge. A lot of stuff is happening. So the top voter only got 35% of the vote. Then we have 27%. And then 15%. At the top, right here, is Mitch, Tarowski, and Liz. We actually have Mitch and Leah doing that big Mashful plan this episode, and I believe that's probably why a lot of people are seeing okay, that This is also before Mitch's heel turn. So
makes a difference.
This I'll admit this right now. This is the last time Mitch makes the top 3 favorite contestants.
I buy that.
He is. In every tribe he's been normally, except for the first 2 episodes where he's not seen as much, he's normally in the top 3 on his tribe. He's always, doing something goofy or eating a head of lettuce or whatever. Yeah. So at this point, this is still Mitch riding high, stuff like that. He also got 61% of the vote for best game that week because of that Mashville play. And then after that is Tarowski, and then kind of everything else fizzles out. Next episode, this is where we have the Angela boot. This is where we get the Thal and Liz relationship. We get a couple different things going on there. This is very weird because even after I said what before, the favorite game and favorite player, it's the same thing. Like top 3, like first place, second place, third place, it's all the same thing. Who do you guys think are those 3 for best game and favorite people for this episode?
I feel like Thal and Liz, if their relationship, if that was this episode, must be there.
I was gonna say that too. Third person, Tarowski.
Could be.
Cooper, maybe?
Yeah. I was gonna say Brittany. So there you go.
It is Thal, then Brittany, and then Liz. We get the awesome Brittany confessional this episode, so that's probably why.
All right.
She's also very perceptive of the game, so that's probably why she got second place for best game, because she has the whiteboard, she knows everything that's going on. So we got Paul, Brittany, and Liz.
Nice.
Okay, next episode is where we have the idol. We have a lot of stuff going on with Akshay going out, and potentially Cooper working with Thal. Maybe. Who do you guys think are in the top 3 for favorite game? Or for favorite person, sorry.
Probably still Liz. I'm thinking Liz probably rides high all the way till the end of the season at this point.
yeah.
That's
how I was feeling.
Fair,
It's tough. A lot of favorite
is this
people.
where Cooper flips? Or not
Cooper flipped to the merge.
Sorry, guys.
You're good. I'll just say it.
Okay.
Yeah, do not worry. You're a million miles away. So
and who did we say? Oh, we said Liz, Thal. I don't know. We'll throw Cooper in there. Why not?
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
Liz and Thal make the top 2 for favorite game for the rest of whatever. It's back and forth. Liz gets top, then Thal gets second, and then the next 2, Thal gets top and Liz gets second. Somehow, even after him destroying Liz, he's the favorite person of that episode by 1% from Liz. I don't know how that happened. I'm surprised everyone wasn't just like shunning him, never speaking his name again, but that's what happened. We also have Tarowski as the 3rd for favorite, and then Tarowski and Leia tied, and then Tarowski for favorite at the end. That kind of trio seemed to a lot of people liked. For best game, however, these next 3 episodes, Liz, Thal, Tarowski, and Mitch are all basically the people in the top 3. That's basically the juggling of that. Because you have Liz with her crazy social game. You have the episode where Thal basically plays a perfect game up until the last 10% of the episode, and then you have Mitch basically pulling the wool over the eyes at the end, and Liz plays the idol for the wrong person. So again, it's very interesting. I can't wait for you guys to actually see the full Excel document, because this is a snapshot of the of the merge, but it is vastly different pre-merge. Like people are like, you know, I mean, you should still be a Mitch stan, but Mitch stands for life. They're like, you know, it's obviously Matthew, you know, Team Matthew,
Love
obviously.
Matthew.
Not as many people super high on Matthew as I thought in the polls, but online everyone was like, oh yeah, Matthew. I think a lot of it had to do with like his like abs and arms and stuff because he wore a lot of. I mean, he wore a lot of tank tops. All right, yeah, he's a fun character.
I wasn't gonna say it, but you can say it. That's fine.
He had a lot of
Lion.
The Lion, yeah.
Yes.
Leia has more love earlier on, getting to Idol. Her and Mitch doing some stuff, but yeah, I don't know if I'll do a post-watch poll. I'll probably do one for the finale as well, but I'm really excited to see after like everything that goes on what everyone thinks now. But yeah, it's this is it, guys. Like it's finale time. That's all we got left. That's it.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want it to end.
I know.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
I can't believe it.
Ah,
I will.
so long.
Hold up. All right. I think I did a pretty fast job, all things considering. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
No,
you want me to ring up Austin and ask him about All Stars? All right.
Wow. All shade. All shade.
I'm messing. But we have the finale afterwards. I'm kind of announcing this right now, but I kind of announced on Twitter too. But I will be doing some interviews after the season is over with basically whoever wants to do it. Some of the big players, people who wants to do that kind of stuff. So don't worry, you'll still get some more stuff. You know, you have not heard the last of Liz Ladwig yet. I will talk to her.
Oh my
Don't worry. It'll probably be an hour her just being like, look, this is the reason I did it, guys. Okay, like I'm sorry, like whatever. But yeah, I do have a lot still left for just post coverage. But in terms of the game, one episode left, guys. Tomorrow, 8:00 Eastern time. We're doing it. It's happening.
Can I ask what your guys' winner picks are as of right now?
Someone asked that in the chat too, and I was actually hoping that question wouldn't come up because literally probably for the last like 6 hours today, I've been going back and forth. And when George let us know that he's sending us the link, I was like, I don't have a winner pick, and I don't know what to do. Maybe he won't ask.
I didn't want to ask you just because like that's kind of the thing everybody asks in these podcasts.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, it's. How about this?
I'm just curious.
A better question is maybe, who do you want to win?
Obviously, that's a different question.
We don't even need to ask Katie. She's going to say Leia. We get it. We understand. You were rude.
Okay.
Sure.
You can just assume.
Okay, wait. Are we about to get? Is Leia about to get dragged right here live on camera? Wow.
No, I just don't want to say anything because I know what happened.
Right. Okay.
So.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right. But the other two. Who do you guys want to win? Who do you guys... You know what? Screw it. Who do you guys think will win too?
Yeah.
Paul, you go first.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that to me. Want to win? Oh, that's such a tough question because I've been so pro Mitch for 3 months now. But want to win Alex Tarowski. I just think it would be such an incredibly fun story for him to win. Will win? I think Leia. I think Leia wins.
Wow.
All right, and Joe?
Oh my gosh, I still don't have an answer. Okay.
Kara's taking it all.
Yes, Kara.
Let's say who I want to win. I'm gonna go with Brittany because I think that would be amazing as the super fan that she is, and she's been very entertaining. Who I think is gonna win though? Oh, this is so tough. I'm going to go with one of the Alexes.
Oh, okay.
Wow, surprising.
Which I know really narrows it down. Let's go
2/5 of the cast.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to say Thal.
Okay.
It's out there.
Okay.
Thal.
You know what? I might as well. I did put that question on the post-watch poll. Let me, and I think a lot of people did this maybe based on maybe edit or something else, but let's see what the response was to who they think will win, not necessarily who they want. Who they think will win. 30% of the vote said Thal.
Wow.
25% said Mitch. 17% said Leia. And then the bottom two are then Tarowski and then Brittany.
Wow.
So yeah, most people are saying it's kind of up there is those people, but anything could happen.
Literally anything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Survivor.
Anything and everything does happen. You don't even know it.
I can't watch it live, and I'm really pissed.
Well, then don't go on Twitter because
I know I'm gonna delete it from my phone.
Wow, that's surprising considering the amount of tweeting
great
you do.
move.
I know.
Really good.
I feel bad. What?
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, my friend has a birthday dinner, and
How old are they turning? Is it that big of a deal?
it's not. It's not a milestone. It's not a milestone.
Just like watch it on your phone as you're just like.
I know.
Yes.
Like, I need to use the restroom for 2 hours. Hold on.
No, that's gonna be me. That's gonna be me at Good Friday service tomorrow. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
I apologize to a lot of people.
I agreed to go to Good Friday service, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, like.
Yeah.
But then you're also like, okay, I can't back out of this because, like, hey, I'll be home watching Survivor Michigan. Like, it just doesn't have the right ring to it when you say it out loud.
Yeah.
Even though it's obviously the correct decision.
There, the timing of the finale. I apologize to some people. They have Passover. They have different things. But you get to watch it with your family, maybe.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah, sit around and watch Survivor Michigan.
It's a beautiful religious experience for all of us. Be watching the finale.
I'll start putting subliminal messages in there. I'll just re-edit it.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, we're getting weird here. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna do a wrap up real quick. Thank you guys so much for coming on this podcast. Especially to Katie, who just like last minute had to jump on here. It's like, well, what time is it right now in Ireland?
5:21 a.m.
Oh my
gosh.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
The things I do for frickin' Survivor.
But thank you seriously so much. Let me just go down the line really quick. If you guys have anything you want to promote, your Twitters, whatever, we can start with Katie. Since we just talked about her.
I feel like nobody really wants to follow. I don't tweet about Survivor or anything, but it's all of my social media is Dancin' KT. So follow if you want.
And everything Survivor related in the future for Survivor Michigan.
Yes,
it's her.
Because I run the Survivor Michigan social media. So Survivor You Mitch, follow that as well.
I've put myself in there sometimes, but it's mainly Katie.
I'm sorry.
No, I just don't want to if I'd made a bad tweet. It's not all Katie. Don't worry.
Okay. Just drag me. I'm the one who misspelled finale. I'm sorry.
Excellent.
God.
Finally,
the biggest
the truth comes out.
Finally, guys.
All right, you guys ready for the finally tomorrow?
Oh wow, brutal.
All right, Joe.
Yeah, my Instagram is J Sarandino. That's my last name. I keep wanting to change my Twitter to what my Instagram is, so it's easier. But not that I'm getting millions of followers on here, so it doesn't matter.
Maybe when you make it big.
But my Twitter is Joseph_John_S, and I tweet about Survivor Michigan. So honestly, just search for the hashtag, and then you'll find me because I throw a couple tweets out there sometimes. So.
Yeah,
I retweet you sometimes as well. So just check our page.
It's all in the family. Yeah,
it's nice love. Yeah, I'm on all the social media at Paul Says Thought. It's all college Survivor and Michigan sports. So this is a very specific. If you're in this chat, hey. But admittedly, a lot of it is depressed Michigan sports tweeting. So be forewarned that a lot of it is why can't we make a college football playoff? So so enjoy that while it's also going on. But no, at Paul Says Thought.
Oh man, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for everything. This was a great discussion. I know I was about to say, wow, it's so late. We ran so late. But I have no room to talk. Sorry, Katie. This was great. Thank you all in the chat for sticking around too. I've been reading some of it. I'll probably go back to just read some more. I know Liz and different people were in the chat. So sorry that I didn't, make a better edit for you. I don't know. But yeah, thank you guys so much. The finale is tomorrow at 8:00 Eastern time. Check it right here. I got nothing else for you. Head out now. Oh, that was so bad.
Wow.
Oh God, that was so.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, God. But yeah, thank you guys, and I will see you all tomorrow.